Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor Artoo. How's it going, Professor?
Hello. It's going. Yeah. It's as I was telling Price before we got started. It's hit that point in the summer now. I've been done with teaching for a while, and we've started to kids are being headed off to camp or day camps or whatever, and like it's hit that point where like the days sort of start to blend into each other, and you're like, what day of the week is it? I don't what's going on. Who are you again?
I like that. I like it when you don't know what day it is, but I can understand. Maybe it's not for everybody.
It's kind of like the what do they say, the dog days of summer. It's just things kind of feels like it's just kind of dragging on. And where are we now? What's going on? Who's talking? Yeah, I don't know. So sometimes it's like, you just like, there's nothing to worry about. You're just sort of chilling out. And then you realize like the whole week has passed. You're like, wait, where did that whole week go? I don't. So it's all right though. Yeah, it's good to be here tonight. Glad to see everyone out there in the chat.
I mean, it's a strange time anyways. I felt like, especially in the past few days, I didn't feel like there was things that were too interesting that were going on. I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that would interest somebody, but I didn't feel like there was anything like major happening. You could say that there's peace deals and stuff like that, but you know what? To be honest with you, and without dwelling on it too much, every day I hear about a different deal, and I don't really even know. So it's like at this point, I'm kind of numb to it all.
And is it a deal, or is it a framework for a deal, or is it what is it, right? Obviously the markets seem to be happy with what they're talking about, because prices of oil were falling, and markets were raging today, but it's doing really well there. But other than that, there was there's been some news here and there from various political things happening. There were some primaries today in Alabama and Oklahoma, Georgia. Some primaries that were playing out there. I don't think any of those were particularly surprising. And again, they're only primaries, so it's just like, oh, which Republican is going to have this seat, or which Democrat is going to run in the seat, right? So it's just not all that exciting. We're kind of in between big movie releases at the moment. Obviously, we got Toy Story 5 coming this week, but I don't know if I care all that much. It's got another couple weeks before we get some of the other new big things like Supergirl and Spider-Man and what's the other one I'm thinking of? Odyssey, yeah.
Supergirl will be interesting, but Spider-Man will be interesting. Toy Story, maybe because already like the fourth one was dumb. I don't think anybody's like, walking into this thing with great expectations here. It feels like a franchise that's already squeezed out whatever it had to squeeze out. Probably should have ended with the third one, and yet somehow we're still here, and they're going to continue to make more, as much as they can, as if they think they're making money off of it. And it doesn't have to be good or anything. It just has to. It's kind of like that sentence from Untouchables, where I think that like Al Capone sends his people to sell some alcohol in a bar or something, or give his whatever it is. And the guy says, I don't like the stuff you're selling. It's not good. And the Al Capone guy said, doesn't have to be good. It has to be bought. And that's what I feel about Toy Story 5.
Doesn't have to be good.
You just need to buy the ticket. They don't care at this point.
They don't care at this point. No. We're the box office this last weekend wasn't really much to talk about. Disclosure Day did decent numbers, but not not great. Obsession still number 2 for the weekend. Like, that movie just will not stop.
You know why that makes me happy? Because I said that out of Backrooms and Obsession was the stronger one.
Yeah.
And now you see that after the, initial hype that Backrooms had baked in, once that hype is dying down, Obsession is the stronger one.
I mean, Backrooms is still doing well. I mean, it's only coming in about 30 million lower than Obsession, but of course they spent, considerably more on it.
Of course.
It's obviously made back its money at this point. I mean, it's a successful film without question. And I think they're at 2. Let's see, what are they at?
Both.
Today.
Anybody that's involved in making either Obsession or Backrooms are now having, those kind of parties like with the strippers,
Yeah, oh, yeah. 262 million worldwide. So I mean, on a 10 million budget, Backrooms has still been a huge success. And I think pretty widely it's been understood, that is not as solid a movie as Obsession, but it still has done really good business. Obsession, on the other hand, man, it is still trucking. Again, I believe it was second in the theaters this weekend, and it's in its 30th day. It's in a month in to its release at this point. And it is still really doing incredible business. It's hit 290 at this point on a budget of less than $1 million. I mean, it's just baffling.
It's one of those
and I love it. I love to see it. I don't care about horror films as a genre. It's not something that I spend a lot of time doing, but what I do want to see are these independent films, and not even necessarily even independent films, but films being made by some new voices in Hollywood that are willing to explore doing something different. It's not just another remake. It's not just another sequel to some existing IP. It's not a spinoff. It's just somebody with an idea, with a story, who wants to come in and wants to make something, and they make something that it entertains people. It doesn't preach to you. It doesn't shove all sorts of different things down your throat. It's just there to be a solid story with some good acting and some actual interest from the audience. It's entertaining. And yeah, people are showing up and paying for this movie like crazy because it does all of those things.
Yeah, and I'm happy about it for the exact same reasons. I think that it's really showing Hollywood. There's something very symbolic that at a time that they release these kind of big studio releases like Mandalorian and Grogu and things like that, and even this He-Man movie that I didn't prefer, and then what you have is these guys that made movies for very little money, taking them to the cleaners in a way, and I don't mind it. I mean, it's fine. We should encourage these kind of newer voices and people doing stuff, not for $100 or $200 million a movie, because and we've talked about this so much over the past few years, and finally something is actually happening, is that a lot of these filmmakers that we like today, even we talk about Spielberg, who this latest release wasn't a good one, even he had to start somewhere. Initially his first movie was called like Duel, and it was like a truck that was like following another truck or something. I've seen it many years ago. I don't remember the deal, but I remember there was like a truck, chasing somebody. It was very, very simple stuff. It wasn't a gazillion dollars to make, but it was a business card, and people said, wow, with very little, he made this very interesting movie. And they're like, okay, well, why doesn't he do something else? And eventually he got Jaws, which again, he was scrutinized by the studio. They gave him a budget, and maybe he went over budget, and he had a lot of issues. But at the end of the day, like these kind of smaller productions are where he really what's the term? Cut his teeth? What am I looking for?
Yeah, I think that works. Yeah.
So basically, this is where he really like honed his skills. This is where he learned how to be a director. And yeah, over time, I think that you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger budgets. You kind of lose that magic of what made you come up with the interesting solutions of what sparked that kind of creativity early on in your career. I think that even George Lucas with Star Wars, people think about Star Wars, that initial first movie was a nightmare for him. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have studios just coming in and, I know there's inflation and there's different money, but studios didn't just come and say to some guy, here's 200 million. Let's see what you can do. You know what I mean? It didn't work that way. You had to prove yourself. Even before that Star Wars, he did American Graffiti. He had to show. Martin Scorsese did Mean Streets. Initially, Sylvester Stallone, even though, he's not credited as a producer, but he did write it and act in it and pretty much produce it. The first Rocky movie was made for like nothing. It was considered a production that the studio thought so little of. It thought of releasing it as a TV movie because they thought it was just some piece of crap that they spent $3 on, and at the end it ended up like being like the best movie of the year. So I guess what I'm saying here is that a lot of these greats that we respect their craft, they had to start somewhere. They had to actually grind and do something. And I always give you this example that today we have like Chloe Zhao did the lady in a garbage can, and then they gave her the Eternals so she made a movie with a bag lady or something for $5. And then they're like, this is great because everybody says how stunning and brave you are. Now take $200 million and make the Eternals. And then the Eternals was kind of like garbage too, much like the bag lady one.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm saying is that I like the fact that we see these younger people now just doing whatever they're doing sort of on their own. I hope we see more of that. Leave it to Hollywood to start spoiling this thing and now just trying to pick out YouTubers and throwing Chloe Zhao Eternal money at them. But I'm hoping that we'll see more people like that rising through the ranks, actually getting work done and actually building some kind of resume. That would be nice.
I sure hope so. I'll tell you who's not going to be building a resume is the art director from Obsession, unfortunately.
Remind me, because you know what? This is under the radar. Remind me, because I saw a little bit of this. Well, maybe you can tell me, because I feel like I missed the train on that one. What is she complaining about the art director? That they didn't pay her?
Yeah, well, they paid her what they, said they would pay her, what she signed up for, what she actually did as as an employee on this particular production. She was art director, and as with most, if you ask anybody, most small independent productions, she was also helping with this and that, and doing things on set and sweeping up after after people had lunch. Like, she was helping out in various different things. But yeah, she was paid $300 a day or something to be on set. She was paid. She was not paid as a union. It was a non-union production, as many, especially smaller, independent productions are. They're non-union, so they can keep the costs down. And now that the movie's a huge success, she's coming back and saying, well, I should have flipped this production. I should have made sure that it was a union thing and we got paid like we're supposed to, because it's not fair that the people who, made this movie, now this, I only got paid a few $1,000s and I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And now this movie is a huge hit and they didn't pay me whatever, what, and it's like, sweetie, you signed a contract and you got paid. There was no guarantee this movie was going to be huge. There was no guarantee this movie was going to be a massive hit. You got the money that you signed up for. You were paid, everything. The thing that you got paid that you didn't sign up for was, now you're listed as the art director on a huge, massive hit. And now you take that and you use that to get other work. That's the way all of this works in Hollywood. It's the way all of this works in these, artistic things, whether it's going to be something in Hollywood or you're going to be doing something on, in the theater in New York or whatever. Like, you work on a small production. It gets well regarded. People recognize your name because you were part of this small production. You get bigger work. You get bigger jobs. You get paid more. You parlay that into bigger jobs and more money and whatever until, you build up that reputation and you become successful. That's how you get to be a person who is getting paid tens of millions of dollars to make one picture. Instead, she wants to just bitch and complain about what she was paid, even though what she was paid was exactly what everyone else, got paid. She got paid what she got paid. Now, if she was really thought this movie was going to be a massive hit and she wanted part of the back end or whatever, she could have asked for that as part of her contract, but she didn't. She wanted the money up front because she was working paycheck to paycheck.
It's fine. It could be that they wouldn't have offered her.
It's entirely possible that they would have said no. Yeah, but she, as Phyllis said, she did not take on any risk in this.
No.
She walked in, she helped with this production, she got paid her money, and then afterwards she wants to be a jealous communist asshole to be like, well, I didn't get my fair share. Yeah, you did. This production cost less than $1 million. They had to pay these people and those people and these other people. They had to pay a lot of different, for a lot of different, things on this set. You got paid what exactly what you signed up for. And that's
Right.
how it works. It's gross for her to come out and start publishing articles and things like that.
She's also doing damage to her own career.
Yeah, honestly, she's destroyed. That's what I'm saying. She's destroyed her own career.
I would never hire her. You know what I mean? I would never hire her. The thing is that a lot of times you have, this is an even dumber one than the other example I'm going to give, but it's the same thing that I said. I always think of this for some reason. It's the same thing I said about Ray Fisher when he went out and he said, like, I don't care about anything like accountability over entertainment. And I said at the time, and we can find old tweets of mine that I said, I am not necessarily rejecting the idea that within whatever setting there was there on that Justice League set, perhaps somebody treated this actor poorly, and perhaps somebody said to him that wasn't nice and they weren't professional. I'm not saying that that's not possible. And if you feel that somebody's crossed the line, you can also, through your management and agents and whatever it is behind the scene, explain that you're unhappy. But what he wanted to do is he wanted to go out and make this big thing that everybody hears all of his dirty laundry. And I said at the time, and then they had a situation where I guess whoever at the time, I forgot his name. I think he was. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be. I think he was Japanese. I don't remember. I don't remember. It wasn't Walter Hamada. I don't know who it was. It was. There was some guy that wanted to talk to Ray Fisher, and basically they said, "Listen, Ray, we're going to give you a deal. Here's sign a deal. You'll get your own movie, your own Cyborg movie, as if anybody even cared about that much about Cyborg. We're going to give you your own Cyborg movie. Sign this piece of paper. You're going to get millions of dollars. And you know what? Somebody said something bad to you. Let's just let bygones be bygones." Now, that for me is a pretty decent apology. Do you get what I'm saying, Professor? Like,
absolutely,
millions of dollars, signing a contract and saying, you know what, I don't know what happened there. We're sorry about that. Let's just move forward. That for me is good. And most people at any job and any employment and anything would be like, okay, cool. Yeah, I can get behind that. Sometimes things happen and sometimes it's an annoying thing. They say, listen, we made a mistake. Here's a few $1 million in some deal. You say, okay. He said, no, I won't sign the deal. I want there to be an investigation. And not only that, the person that called him and offered him the millions of dollars and talked to him, which was some big executive, he's like, I want to make sure that you're investigated too. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you're kind of an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are actors that would give anything to even be in that movie that you were quote unquote not treated politely or whatever it is. But to then that somebody is like, here's more millions and here's your own movie, that's like the dream of any actor. You know what I mean? You say yes. And then he was also, as part of the deal, was supposed to be in that Flash movie with Ezra Miller. Again, that ended up being a joke in and of itself. But this was a fair deal. He didn't want it. He wanted an investigation. And how many times have you seen Ray Fisher since?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know why you don't see nowhere. You know why you don't see him? And I said it at the time. He could be right about everything. It could be that they were not polite to him. I'll even say somebody said something bad. He even perceived it as a thing that's more personal and whatever. Won't get into that. Let's say everything he's saying is true. Still, at the end, you have to also be something of a businessman. If I have a studio and I see a guy that no matter what, he wants to go to the papers all day and media and whine about the studio and how much he hates it, I'm not hiring that guy. I don't care what you have to say. I'm not hiring him. Same thing with Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler, basically, there was already a movie that was hundreds of millions of dollars in the hole that was like an ill-conceived bad movie to begin with, and every time she went to the press or did something online, she was jeopardizing the movie even more. And everything she said was like more losing, more millions, more millions. And they had a producer fly out and tell her, please remove these posts. Stop talking about like the Middle East and stuff. Just go and do your stupid job here. That nobody gives a shit about your thoughts. Just let this movie come out and then do whatever you want. And she's like, nope, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And it's like, great, okay, well that's a good strategy. You know what I mean? Let's see. It's like that meme with it's a good strategy, Cotton. Let's see where whatever. And since then, she's only been on on in theater. That's why I don't really see her in movies anymore, because who's going to hire her now? For some reason, I feel like Zegler, after doing this, and she's going to do a Vita on Broadway, and enough jerk offs are going to say how great she is and stunning and brave. She may claw her way back to some movie, but I don't know. I don't know that she'll ever be given a chance to like headline movies like that. If I had a studio, I wouldn't hire her. I wouldn't hire her if I had a $1 million movie or $100 million movie. I wouldn't hire her for anything.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's all about the attitude, right? And so Isfovos was saying, she tried to make it a union thing. Yeah, that's what I was saying. She tried to have the, or she says she wished that she had flipped the production, meaning like that she had come in and demanded that it become a union thing, right? Does that fly in the face of an indie film? No, it doesn't. There are indie films that are union. There are plenty that are not. If they are studio productions, not indie, then they do have requirements for having union stuff because of agreements that the producers union has with this union, has with that union, whatever. When it's a small production, there's not a requirement there for it to be union. Although, again, there are some smaller indie productions. They're not made by large studios, but they're better funded. They're able to hire union people to do the work and whatnot. So there's upsides and downsides to those things. But when you're making a very, very low budget indie production, paying union rates is basically impossible. So if she had tried to force this to become a union production, then the movie probably would not have been made. And then she would not have gotten paid anything. And then she wouldn't have anything to complain. So basically, what she would prefer is that nobody made any money than she makes some money and other people make lots of money, right? This is absolute Marxist communist thinking, right? Like, I would be happier if I didn't make anything and nobody else made anything either, than I made something, but it wasn't as much as other people made. Right? That's just absurd.
I want to say something, and I don't know if this is a PC thing to say. I want to also say that this is my professional opinion. I am not taking any responsibility here. This is just what I believe. I'm not saying that you should believe that. And here at Price of Reason Studios, we share opinions and thoughts and speculation, and we don't take responsibility for anything at all. And whatever we're saying is not true. But personally, if I had to give my honest opinion here, I think she's a stupid bitch, Professor.
That's the kind of thing that's going to get you banned on Instagram, like Istafobos did.
Is that what happened to him?
Yeah, Istafobos apparently says he made some comment to her on Instagram, basically saying that she cooked her own goose, and somehow that got him banned from Instagram.
Well, it could be also the way that he worded it, but
that could also be it. I don't know. I'm
knowing it's the Phobos, I'm sure that there was a way that he worded it that may not have rubbed this lady the right way. Plus, I'm not going to her place.
Golden goose, cooked the golden goose. Yeah.
I'm not going there and saying whatever. And I added all the stipulations. It's my own personal opinion. I think that this is not the way to go about it. It's not the way to build a resume or a career. And I think that overall it's a mistake. And just so you know, in history, there's been a lot of situations where something happens and somebody agrees to do a certain job and later thinks, oh, well, I should have gotten more money. take, for example, you want like real stories and not this lady that, like, with all due respect, I'm sure the art directing is fine, but let's look at things like I was mentioned Rocky. Stallone, he came up with Rocky. It's a franchise that he created. He wrote the screenplay and he starred in it. And not only that, when they filmed it, he de facto acted as a producer on the film. He was there, like, famously, when it comes to the fights, initially they wanted to bring a choreographer that was like one of the Hollywood type of choreographers that'll help him. And he worked with him a day and he said, I don't want this guy. I'm going to do my own choreography because this guy, he doesn't understand the movie. And he was involved on the level, like they actually invented, uh, kind of invented, or I don't know what to tell you, but all the scenes that you see at the end of the movie with the fight with Apollo, they filmed that first and then gradually filmed until the beginning, because the way they did the makeup was they put all this makeup and gradually were peeling off the makeup so that he looks better. Do you get what I mean? They filmed it actually in reverse in order.
Yeah.
They had all these strategies and things happening on this movie because of the budgetary constraints that people didn't think of before. And he was very involved in this. And at the end, the movie got an Oscar. He didn't get an Oscar because they didn't give him a producer title. And honestly, he deserved one. Forget about the acting, which was nominated, I think, and for the screenplay, I don't know what, which were also good. But the fact that he made that movie and that was movie of the year, and he was so involved in the production of it, and he got no recognition or nothing. I mean, maybe he got recognition, but he didn't get the award. That's one thing. The other thing is he also didn't get a lot of money for that movie. Now, what happened to him is immediately afterwards, 7 other studios wanted to offer him a bunch of money. You know what I mean? And he went over for years. For years, he's been making a ton of money. He has a lot of money, and it was that first movie that did it. Until today, he still argues with whoever's the production company there that he never got a production credit, that he doesn't have a piece of the franchise. And this is until today, and that's Stallone. So this lady that put some drapes up, she's annoyed. You know what I'm saying? Like, lady, there's people here that have like created multi-billion-dollar franchises single-handedly, and they didn't get what quote unquote what they were due. You know what I mean? So, and in some cases, maybe they should have gotten something. In your case, with all due respect, you take what you got here. You showed on your resume, this movie, I did the art directing. Now you can have me in your movie. All she had to do was shut the fuck up and go and collect the check. In my opinion, at least.
There you go. Yep. And again, I mean, this is how the creative industries like these work, man. You go out. I mean, and honestly, this is how entrepreneurship works in a lot of different ways. You go out and you do something small, and no, it doesn't make you a millionaire. It doesn't make you, a ton of money overnight, but you get some recognition, right? You get some recognition for, hey, I did this, I did that. I successfully, helped, produce or direct or art direction, whatever, cinematography, whatever it was that you did on that production. Hey, I did this, and it was recognized by this group and that group and whatever. And then you start building out that portfolio, and people start seeing it, and they say, oh yeah, no, that's good work. That's good. I think that fits well with what we're interested in doing here. And so then your next salary is a little bit bigger, and your movie's a little bit bigger, and then you keep moving through that. It works that way with lots of different industries where you build up your portfolio, you build up that people can trust that you're making something and that you are competent in what you're doing in your job. And that's how you, as I said, you transform that, you parlay that into your next bigger gig, and then the next biggest, bigger gig. And then you're the person who's making $10 million per, for a production as art director. That doesn't happen just because you get on social media and, bitch. Because you don't think you got paid when, again, as we said, she didn't take on any of the risk. The people who took on the risk were the people who funded the movie.
Right.
The people who bought the movie so that they could then distribute the movie and had to pay out all the money to get that movie into theaters and so on to distribute it. Like those are the people who took on that risk. And so, yeah, they're the ones who are going to reap the really big rewards. What you got was recognition, and now she's blown that. She's destroyed it. She does have recognition, but the recognition now is, oh, that lady. Yeah, the one that got all nasty and Marxist about not being paid enough for this one production. Yeah, that one. No, I don't think we want to work with her. Let's find someone else.
Yeah, I think that it's a huge misstep on her end, and she made a huge mistake.
Yep.
The Dead Man 79, friend of the channel, he has his own channel where he talks about Star Trek. Should check it out. As Robert Meyer Burnett says, it's show business, not show friends. Yeah, I mean, you got to recognize. I just thought of it today. Today, I asked somebody for a favor. It's not really a big deal. Something show business-y. And again, I don't really, I always say this, I'm like a very small fish in the pond, but I asked somebody that in the past a few times that asked me for a favor. I did that, and I asked for a favor today, and the person completely like blew me off and ghosted me and whatever it is. It's a tough business with people that sometimes, aren't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's not, and I guess I thought of it just by seeing this quote of Robert Meyer Burnett that it's often the type of business where people do whatever is good for them. I actually ran into it twice this week on matters that were very minor, but I thought that were annoying. And it's not the first time I've seen stuff like that. People forget very quickly if you've helped them or not helped them, and people have a very kind of snooty way of acting, and it's fine.
No, yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Absolutely. Well, what have you done for me lately? That's it reminds me. There's the episode of The Simpsons where Bart ends up on in the studio with Krusty, and he's like, "Who are you, kid?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm the guy who I got you out of jail, and I reunited you with your father," and recalls like the 12 major times he's interacted with him in the series up to this point, and he's like, yeah, but what have you done for me lately? It's like he's done all of these things, basically, like change the trajectory of his life in this cartoon. But yeah, well, what did you do for me lately? And then I got you that Danish. He's like, oh yeah, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, it's something like that, and I'm already used to it. At the end of the day, you were on this set, you made money, and it is what it is. There's a story also, and we were talking about Michael Jackson, and I probably have mentioned this here before, was that for the song Thriller, he wanted Vincent Price to do whatever you want to call the thriller rap or whatever you want to call it. It was actually quite brilliant, to have Vincent Price along with the rhythm of the song doing something that resembles a kind of rap in the middle of like a Michael Jackson song. Was actually pretty brilliant. He brought him there, and from what I recall, initially, in order to secure him, they had offered him, they said to him, listen, you got two options. One, you could get a percentage of the profit of this song, which we're willing to give you, or if not, we'll cut you a check like for $20,000 and you do this rap. You can choose whichever one is better for you. And he had lawyers and all this stuff, and I think he said, nope, I need the $20,000 like in unmarked bills. Thank you. Like, we'll see you later. Signed the document with his lawyers, collected the $20,000, did his rap, went on his way and didn't care about anything. And years later, his daughter was like, oh, they took advantage of him. They took this and that. And it's like, they didn't take advantage of anybody. Sure, did he make a mistake? Should he have taken the percentage? Absolutely. But he didn't. He said he wanted the money up front. He didn't want any percentage. And a percentage probably would have been millions. You know what I mean? This would have been like not only millions, like a money printing machine to his estate until today. That's probably why his daughter was like, oh, how dare they use him, whatever. But that's not how it works. At the end, if there's a contract and you signed it and that's what the contract says and that's what they paid you, there is nothing you can do. There's no such thing as after the fact, being sad that you signed like, a buyer's remorse or whatever you want to call it. You can't do that with a contract. You signed it. You said that you do it for that amount. It is what it is. And if she wasn't like, again, I don't want to say after you said that Estefobos got in trouble, I don't want to say again what I think, but I said it earlier. But if she wasn't that, she would have waited for this Barker's next movie, which is probably going to be for $10 million or $20 million or more, where he has like higher salaries to pay people. You did a good job once. Maybe next time he has something, he's going to call you. But I wouldn't call her now. I wouldn't call her at all. You're never getting a call from me.
Well, Elizabeth Quince over on Rumble said exactly what she should have done. She says the PR move is to go out and do every interview possible, bragging about being art director. It's career building 101. I've done something adjacent in real life. Yep. That's it. You go out and you're like, hey, I'm the art director for this big hit movie. Do you want to do an interview? Do you want to talk? Go on podcast, go on TV, do interviews, all of that stuff, write articles about, hey, here's my experience making this movie. Here's how you can make your own, become an art director on your own independent movie. Like, you turn that into a way to get your name out there. But, she did that. She got her name out there, but she also got a reputation that she does not want.
Mr. Fubo says $20,000.
Yeah, it was something like that. I don't know that it was. I don't remember that it was 10%, but yeah, it was a percentage. He was offered a share. He was offered a share, and or $20,000, and yeah, he took the $20,000. Like he just basically said he needed the money right then. He was also told by like his agent and some other people, like they weren't sure, like I don't know if this is going to be a big album, because actually it was kind of a risk at the time for Michael Jackson, because it was sort of this themed album, and there was this like, it's like a horror song. Wasn't like his typical musical thing. Like there was some stuff about it. People were like, I don't know, this seems weird. But no, it was a massive hit. And of course it gets played every Halloween now. And you've got Vincent Price there in that song, is exposed to one generation after another through his role in that song. It is rather sad that he didn't get a bigger share of that song, but he got paid what he was contracted. And he did joke about it later, I probably did screw that one up, didn't I? Like that he should have taken a percentage of it. But that's hindsight is 2020, right?
Hindsight is 2020. I'll say something else also that and this is on a rare occasion that I can provide some insight for those who have listened for a while and know something about me. There have been times that I've been sort of in the entertainment industry, even somewhat responsible for talent, sometimes even involved in deals and things like that. And I understand one thing, and sadly, this is what I believe may have happened. Vincent Price went to do this Michael Jackson song. I still think that Michael Jackson, even with Off the Wall, showed that he could sell albums, which means that there's money to be made. It's not that he was a bum before this. Maybe he wasn't like the mainstream for like all audiences or whatever it is, but he was a guy that was making money. He wasn't like a bum, Michael Jackson. No. But what I believe happened, and it could be just things that I've seen before, a lot of times the agents and managers and stuff like that, what do they want? They want their commission. You know what I mean? The manager is, can get 20%. So that means that out of the 20 grand, 3 grand was his. Maybe at that point in his career, Vincent Price wasn't doing too many things. The guy thinks to himself, we do this thing. He just goes there a day. I got a check for 3 grand. The lawyer, the agent, whatever it is, each of them eat away at it. Depending on what agreement he had with his lawyer, either he pays him or he gives him 5%, let's say, to do the thing. He gives the agent another 10%. So they're already eating away like 35% of this money. And you may think, oh, what, these like lawyers and managers, they're going to do all this over for a few grand? And let me answer that question. They sure will. You know what I mean? They sure will. And they said to themselves probably when they were talking, they said, when are we going to wait for this thing? It's going to come out. He's talking over some stupid, like you said, Professor, horror thing that he's singing. Who gives a shit? We can collect it now. We're not going for some theoretical thing down the road. This is money in the hand right now. And they probably gave him that advice. And that was all very, 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 very stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was people that were greedy giving him advice that was stupid, and probably he needed money because at the time he wasn't the big Vincent Price at that moment.
No,
you know what I mean?
He wasn't a huge, he wasn't a huge movie star. He was, frankly, he never was a huge movie star, right? He mostly did smaller productions, genre stuff, horror. I mean, he made a living. He took care of his family. He was a working actor, right? But he wasn't, somebody who was making pictures for, $10 million, right? He was
No, at
somebody who
that
was
time,
making a lot of small stuff, especially at that time in the 80s. He was, his work was few and far between as far as his work, that he was getting then. So probably at the time, $20,000 up front, like that pays the bills, right? You're not, in 6 months, maybe I get a share of this album that you're making. I don't know, but yeah, at that point, yeah, the 20,000 probably meant a lot. And remember, I mean, if the story is he recorded this in an afternoon, like 2 takes. He showed up. He showed up at the studio. Apparently, at least if the story is true, one of the it wasn't Quincy Jones. It was somebody else who was working on the production. Wrote the lyrics on the way to the studio that day. like that spoken word bit hadn't even been written, and so it was written on the way to the studio. And so then he kind of took, looked at it, read over it a few times, whatever, recorded 2 takes and left. He made $20,000 for 2 takes and walked out the door. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad for a few hours of work.
Probably on that day he was very pleased with himself. He probably went to his friends and said, I was there for 5 minutes, said some nonsense and collected 20 grand, and they're all like, you the man, Vincent. But it turned out that he wasn't it wasn't the good deal that he thought it was. That happens sometimes. I will say, Jason Webster for $2 sent a super chat, and he says, debatable whether it's even show business anymore. Yep, I think that's fair. Hold on one second. There was a few other things that were interesting here.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of. Oh, go ahead.
Is there more? Is there another super chat that I missed? No.
No,
okay.
no, go ahead.
Jason Webster says, and this is the same Jason Webster, 1976 was the year of great films that would receive Best Picture nominations. Rocky, All the President's Men, Network, and Taxi Driver, all memorable films. That just shows you what Hollywood used to be, that you go to the Oscars and these are the movies that are competing against each other. You know that's an era of quality. You can say whatever you want, but every one of these movies is interesting. And not only that, they're very different from each other. They're not the same movie, but totally different. They're not IPs. They're not they're not squeezing some franchise. This is all something very different and all very kind of unique and memorable movies, as Jason Webster says. Somebody mentioned Pink Floyd here, and I think that they mentioned it because there was a lady, I can't find this now, but there's a lady that she sang on Great Big Here. This is it. Istophobos says Claire Torrey did it in Great Gig in the Sky, but that's different. She should have had writing credit. She waited 35 years. I want to tell you that Claire Torrey could consider herself very lucky here. Very difficult after so many years to make these claims and also get money, but she did it and she managed to pull it off. In her case, she managed to pull it off. There is a case in the BBC, in England, but in the BBC where somebody didn't pull it off, never even lived to a point where she managed to, challenge them. And for me, I always consider this something of a sad story that most people overlook when it comes to Doctor Who. Now, Doctor Who, the theme song that I'm trying to think. Derbyshire. What was her name? Olivia Derbyshire. Doctor Who. Derbyshire. Is it Olivia Derbyshire? I feel bad. I forgot her name. Delia Derbyshire. Derbyshire. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. When you look up who invented the song for Doctor Who, the music, you'll see that it's Ron Grainer or something like that.
Yeah.
Doctor Who, 1962. So let's see for a second. They have let's see.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the guy Ron Grainer or whatever his name is. Now, the guy had a name
Yeah,
for
that's
doing
him.
scores and things like that. They brought him in. They said he's going to do this thing. It turned out that within the BBC, they had a little thing called the BBC Workshop, and a woman who apparently was a mathematical genius, who studied, and she was very good with numbers and music. It was one of those things that she was like brilliant with numbers and with music at the same time. And she went to work for them, and they initially told her, you can go make coffee or whatever it is. But she's like, no, I want to do this, I want to do that. And she kind of, even though it's the early '60s, she really elbowed her way to kind of be a person that sits in this department and contributes music to shows on the BBC. Now, when this Grainer guy brought his idea of what the score for Doctor Who would be, she said, "Okay, I'm gonna." I want to do something different with this. And she brought out what doesn't even at the time, it's like technology that you don't doesn't even really exist. She would sit around in her own spare time and like take machines at the BBC, taking them apart, rebuild them, do all this interesting sound stuff. And she's like, I have an idea for what to do with this song. We're going to make it this cool electronic kind of spooky, interesting sci-fi music that like she wanted to do. So she takes this song and completely changes it. You know what I'm saying? Like his song sounded like something that you'd hear in an elevator. This
Mhm.
Delia Derbyshire girl, she changes his whole song, does something completely different with it. And when he heard it, he was so impressed by it that he went to the BBC headquarters, like whoever the executives were in charge there, and he said that like his integrity won't allow him that he'll get sole credit on the song. He wants it to be split between them because of the work that she's done here and how she's basically transformed it in many ways into something else. She deserves a co-writer credit. And you know what they told him?
No, not happening.
It was no, but there isn't a direct
Is it
quote.
like she already worked? She worked for the BBC, so they couldn't give her credit or some mess
They're
like
like,
that.
we already pay her, so we don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
probably the part that is off the record, somebody says, she makes good coffee for me when I sit here. We're not going to give her anything. This is the same BBC that lecture you today and are all woke. You know what I mean? And it's not like until today, with all their wokeness for Doctor Who, they've changed their position on that. Until today, they haven't given her, the proper credit on that song. At the end, it ended up, that song ended up something that, forget about the show. The song itself is a moneymaker for them. It's a money-making entity that they have that if you want to use it anywhere, they're always there to like, they need, you know how you have like royalties that somebody comes to collect. They're always there to collect money for this song. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
they're very adamant about it. At the end, this lady, she died, a very poor woman, and she was an eccentric woman. She died like drinking a lot of wine and in some small place with very little money, kind of never getting the credit, never getting the money. And they changed the law at some point where if somebody works for the BBC and comes up with the music like she did, they would get the credit. But they added a stipulation when they passed the law that could only be a certain year, that from that moment they would do it. And very conveniently, this year that she did the song in is not included, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that there's history is full of people that were deserved credit, got nothing, and this lady with the art director, respectfully, I'm saying I'm sure her art directing was fine in this movie. The movie does look fine and everything. I'm sure she did her part, but as good as a directing of art that she is, that's not really the thing that makes or breaks the movie. You know what I mean? Without a
Yep.
screenplay that I thought was solid and a steady hand directing this thing, and the actors that like were basically not very known but stepped up to the challenge, especially Indy Navarrete, which I think does a phenomenal job. If you don't have those people stepping up, she could have directed. Sorry, Sean. She could have directed the shit out of the art there, and it wouldn't have mattered. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
She could have gone hog wild on the art and done something amazing, but I don't think that would have changed the success of the film. significantly.
And I want to also say that I think that, we've been recommended or something on, I think we've been recommended on Rumble, and we're always thankful for that. If you're watching through the Rumble app and you haven't yet signed up for Rumble, because some people use the app, it's convenient. I've installed it in a few places, and then you just go and you watch it, kind of like you're watching Netflix. You see a stream and you click on it. So some people, they just do that. But it actually, it's really good to sign up for Rumble. First of all, you can sign up for free. You don't have to pay anything. If you want to, you can get the ad-free one, the premium. I have the premium, but if somebody even wants to just test it, the regular one that's free to sign up is good. And if nothing else, you're supporting free speech, because Rumble is a platform that it'll let you do whatever streams you want and talk about the things that you want to talk about. And there's really nothing else quite like it. So it's important to show that kind of support. So if you're watching it and you haven't yet signed up, I highly recommend that you do. And of course, once you do all of that, if you feel like following us, so then you're always notified when we do these high quality streams, then that's pretty cool too. And of course, if you're watching on any other platform, you want to subscribe. If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, I have a few different channels. So if you're watching this one, you came maybe from a different one, make sure you're subscribed to it. And just wanted to highlight all that.
Yeah.
And you didn't know the story of this lady that they stole her son?
So I had heard the story about it, about her and her creation of music and stuff. I did not recognize her name immediately, but I do, because I remember at one, I don't remember when this was, but at one point I went down a rabbit hole somewhere and was reading about the different Doctor Who themes, and then was reading about the original one and how essentially that theme was the first fully electronic theme ever made for a series. And then reading about how she made it with basically, like, there were lots of different recordings of instruments, and then she manipulated them electronically. Like the beat, the da 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 da, is literally just one plucked string on an instrument, but it's played over and over and over again to recreate that. And then the sort of whooshing sounds and stuff that you hear throughout are just white noise that she manipulated by playing tapes, faster and slower, and changing the mix a little bit here and there so that you got more of the highs and more of the lows. Like it's this really fascinating, like, way that she just sort of snipped and cut and re-recorded all these little bits and pieces and pulled and stretched tapes and slowed them down and sped them up. I mean, it's kind of fascinating, really, to learn about.
I have a little clip that I'll show, but I'll just say that this lady, it's rumored that in the BBC, when everybody would go to work, she was eccentric, and I'm telling you, she was some kind of mathematics genius, sound genius, which didn't exist then. Today you think, oh, I'll do samples, I'll do loops, I'll do Pro Tools.
Exactly.
She was doing stuff that you're doing on your laptop today on her own. And
doing it physically, like re-recording and cutting pieces of tape and taping them back together. And,
when everybody went home, she was walking around with scissors, walking around all over the hallways and cutting little snippets and pasting them. And it was almost like I don't want to say Dustin Hoffman situation, because I think she was more communicative. Not Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man. You know what I'm saying? But she was like, everybody went home. She was walking the halls and like cutting things and pasting them, and nobody even understood what she was doing. Another thing that people don't know, I'll show you a little clip. I hope we don't get in trouble for this clip, but I'll try my best. Let's see.
Of a piece of music is to construct the individual sounds that we're going to use.
This is from 1962.
To do this, we can, if we like, go to these sound generators here, electronic generators, and we'll listen to 3 of the basic electronic sounds. First, it's the simplest sound of all, which is a sine wave. You see on the oscilloscope, it has a very simple form and has a very pure sound.
You may think this is primitive. This is like
listen to the same note, but with a different quality. This is a square wave.
Electronic music, before house music, before techno, before anything. She's just sitting around there doing these sine waves. It's actually quite brilliant.
And that's what gives the corners on the picture. A more complex sound still is white noise. those basic sounds aren't really interesting in their raw state like this. To make them of value for a musical
Joe Higashi
piece,
saying,
we
is
have
this
to
AI?
shape
No,
them
this
and
lady
mold
existed
them.
in
But using all of these, we can
1962.
build up any sound we can possibly imagine almost. We spend
This
quite
is
a lot of
not
time trying
AI.
to make
This is
new
a real
sounds,
lady
and
that
sounds that
lived in
don't exist already, sounds that
1962
can't be
and
produced by
was
musical instruments.
doing all this stuff with
We don't
machines.
always go to electronic sound generators for our basic sources of sound. If the sound we want exists already in real life, say, and record it.
Boy, does she have 1960s British teeth.
Oh, very British teeth. Aside from the teeth, though, she's actually, you know.
And then the sound for the punctuating chords, I want the sound of a short wire string being plucked. That's at the speed we recorded in the studio. We can get the lower sounds we need from the rhythm by slowing down
loops.
the tape.
Yeah.
And the higher sounds by speeding up the tape. These particular pitches we can record on this machine here, and then all we have to do is cut the notes the right length. We can join them together on a loop and listen to them. What we've seen now is one method in which we synchronize tapes of electronic sounds with each other. But another technique is to combine a tape of electronic sounds with the playing of live musicians. In this music by John Baker, he's in the studio conducting the musicians in time with the electronic sounds which he is hearing on his headphones.
Basically, this lady rewrote the Doctor Who song, and she did, you know, it's being used until this very day. Considered a brilliant genius, like, you know, years ahead of her time. And it's funny because with all of their woman power at the BBC and all that stuff, never corrected this. Never corrected this. Never went back and said, you know what? We did this lady wrong. Let's at least honor her now. Never corrected it. The only thing is, they wrote her name in the 50th anniversary. You know, the 50th anniversary special. They at the end wrote her name as something, like in the credits or something. And it's like, very, very nice that after 50 years, and it's not like they gave any money to anybody. I don't think she had kids.
And that was after she was dead.
Long gone.
She died from renal failure in 2001. Something that was both complicated by both cancer and alcoholism.
She drank a lot and sad. And again, she was an eccentric lady. CC Karaoke, how's it going, man? I was just talking to him the other day. Always nice to see CC Karaoke here. And yeah, basically, this lady, they claim to champion all these women and all this stuff in Doctor Who. They're like, oh, you're such a sexist because you didn't like what we did. It's like, guys, if you can't credit the woman who created this song 50, 60 years later, you don't get the right to say anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are literally, you base the whole thing. And the theme song is important to Doctor Who. That's a very important song. You know what I mean? And they couldn't give her credit even after all this time. So what are they worth, in my opinion?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that's just. How did we get here? How do we get to? Oh, and you
talking about people in the different creative fields. You know, not getting credit or getting the credit and not being accepted. You know, not being happy with what they were paid and whatnot. Yeah.
But the story gets weirder. There was something. Are you ready?
Yep.
There is a song that the Beatles did, and there was something called the Light and Sound Rave or something like that. Okay, there is a song that the Beatles did that's never been released, and this song apparently was there was a rave of people doing recreational stuff. Are you with me? In like 1960 something, there was a rave, and basically they had a few people there doing like this kind of experimental music, and the Beatles thought this was cool and hip, and they wanted to be involved. So Paul McCartney convinced the rest of the Beatles that they need to record a special song that's sort of experimental and avant-garde to play at this event. They apparently recorded something, and to this day, only at this event has anybody ever heard it. People always ask for it. They're like, whatever happened to that song? Whatever happened to that song? They never release it. Nobody's ever heard it unless you were like in 1967 or whatever, in the 60s, or I don't know what year it was, unless, or 65, unless you were there at this thing, you didn't hear it. So the reason I'm telling you all of this, do you know who the other artist was that played music at this event?
No.
Delia Derbyshire was there playing music. Just so you understand, like, how deep her kind of, like, you know, underground influence, if you want to call it, was. I was just trying to find, like, I thought that there was a sign somewhere where, like, you see her name and theirs, but at the end of the day, they were there. They were there, and she was there, and they did music. And then later, another thing happened. If you listen to the song by Pink Floyd, One of These Days, it's very, very much like a wink to the Doctor Who theme song. It's very much like influenced by it. And if you hear it on One of These Days, you won't be able to unhear that. You know what I mean? You'll hear it and you'll know 100% that it's influenced by that. So basically, it's that's what I've read before, that prior to recording that album, Pink Floyd actually came to the BBC and they specifically asked to meet with Delia Derbyshire because they wanted her to give them, you know, some insight on techniques and stuff like that. Next thing you know, that One of These Days song is very much like, you know, a tip of the hat to the Doctor Who song. Are you with me?
Sure.
So to have a lady that's like in your place, invents, considered by some the mother or one of the pioneers, let's say, of electronic music, created one of the best sci-fi themes ever. People like the Beatles and you know, Pink Floyd were people that she interested her capabilities. And at the end, what happened? The BBC told her that they don't need her anymore, threw her out. Never gave her credit, never gave her the money, and she died a poor woman in a small apartment, you know, from drinking too much. Even though she was eccentric, it's not only the BBC you can blame for that. But I'm just saying that was the trajectory of her life. And then we have this dumb art director babbling about some shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's people that have really suffered in history, that have really created something, and I have to hear about this absolute, it's so kind of a Gen Z self-entitled shitty kind of thing, you know what I mean? I don't know, I think you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Anyhow, CC Karaoke maybe would be interested in those stories because he's into music. In any case, that was the situation with this lady. Roger Waters is nuts. You know, I struggle.
No, we're getting started on Roger Waters.
No. I'm just going to say
back,
quickly,
everybody. It's going to be a few hours.
No, it's not. I'll just say quickly. I struggle with this because I think today he is absolutely off his rocker and really, you know, a bitter man that's not at the height of his career and is just a bitter man. That's how I see him. But I will say that in the late 60s, early 70s, at the time before he was off his rocker and actually dealing with making music, he was quite good then. It's really unfortunate, you know, what happened to him later versus what happened to Gilmour, who only, like, you know, with age only, like, you know, embraced music and really went the opposite route of Waters. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. So yeah, that is that. And then I've never heard anybody put the, what did I call him? I didn't say Pink Floyd. What do they say? Like Pink Floyd? Pink Floyd. I thought that's what they. That's how I call them, Professor. I don't know, man.
Pink Floyd. I don't know.
That's funny if it's Pink Floyd or Pink Floyd, but I think it's Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm putting the emphasis on either one.
I'm putting the emphasis on Pink myself. That's what I'm doing. But
should say it like people in California do. Pink Floyd? With a question mark at the end.
In any case, I think that this is we touched upon everything. We went over this lady who's dumb and making mistakes, and we went all over the place. But it was a fun little rabbit hole. I like where we took all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what else? What were we talking? Oh, JD Vance was on The View. You know,
indeed he was.
I saw it in my feed today, and I thought it was kind of amusing because it just seems like a place he wouldn't go. And like I was clicking on the clips, I was just wondering. I bet you that these ladies probably were really like annoyed that he came to The View because they don't seem like ladies that would like him, but somehow. As much as they're sort of like, I consider them very annoying, they had to at least give him the minimum courtesy that he came there to talk to them. And there's been things that I think that J.D. Vance has done that are good in the campaign, especially. There's things that I liked less that he's done, but I will say that seeing him go to The View, I did have to give him credit for like going there. This is a place that's not friendly towards anything that he represents. But he went there and he sat down and he had a conversation with them. That also takes some kind of character. It takes something,
It does.
So he did do that. And then let me see if I can find a clip because I saw a few of them today. JD Vance, The View. It was almost surreal. You would think it was like AI that created it, but instead, like it's really, it's really him.
Yeah, I do have one here. If you want to start with it. So this was one from Town Hall that they reposted. JD Vance shuts down Joy Behar after she repeats the debunked claim that Trump called affordability a hoax.
All right, play.
What the?
So President Trump has called affordability a hoax. He said that, not me. He's pouring money into this ballroom of his and the reflecting pool. Oh, don't forget the Arch de Trump, I call it, and a White House cage match. All these things. Why is he doing them when you just, everybody knows that Americans are struggling? What is he spending all this money for?
Well, I got to defend the president on the hoax point. What the president said is the idea that Republicans caused the affordability problem is a hoax. And I think that's true. If you go back to the Biden administration, inflation got up to 9% under the Biden administration. Okay. Right now it's at 3.5%. By the way, too high. We're doing everything that we can to bring it back down to 2.5%, which is where most people would like to see it. But we inherited an affordability problem. We're doing a lot to make it better. It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lot more work to do. But the president knows that a lot of Americans are struggling. In fact, he ran on that. He talked about it. And we've done some things and made some good progress on that point.
He just said he loves the inflation.
What he said, Anna, what he said is that he loves the fact that the inflation is going to come down when this war is over. That's what he said.
That's not what he said. That wasn't a direct. Are you his interpreter or are you his vice president? Come on.
Well, look. What the president said. People were asking about the inflation. They were asking about the affordability problem, which again is very real. And what he said is, "I love the inflation because it's going to come down when the war is over." And now, again, we already see gas prices. Gas prices today, $4.06 a gallon, too high, but way down from where they were just a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot we got to do, but I think that we're doing as much as we can. We're going to keep on working at it. And again, the American people are going to make their verdict, but I think that we have a very credible case to run on, that we brought a lot of new investment. We're building the factories. That is going to pay serious dividends for the American people over the long haul.
When?
When?
So,
yeah. Well, what have you done to help the economy? Bunch of gaggle of illiterate, crazy women.
There's other good clips, but the thing is that he's so patient with them. You got to appreciate that he went in to do this. I think that for a while I haven't seen a moment that was as positive as this from JD Vance. Personally, like I said, I think that there were times, especially, this is just my own personal opinion. I didn't love that as Tucker Carlson seemed to be spiraling out of control, he continued to somehow be tied to him. I didn't think that was a great look for him. I feel like now he's sort of distanced himself from him, which is not a bad thing. That's personally my opinion. And in addition to that, I actually think he did well on The View.
Yep.
I understand why some of these people were nice to Tucker Carlson back in the day when he was less, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
But at some point, you kind of got to cut your losses. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, he's
that's just my personal opinion, of course. But
yeah,
this is him.
Joy has the next question.
Okay, so in the book, Mr. Vice President, you make a mea culpa of sorts for calling Democrats childless cat ladies.
Oh, man. My most boneheaded comment.
You say that in the book, that it was boneheaded, which it was.
Thank you.
What were you thinking when you said that?
So Joy said when we were off air that I'm fine, which I think is about the best endorsement that I'm going to get out of Joy Behar for a Republican. Thank you. I appreciate that. Graded on a curve here at The View. But, you know, I guess one of the things that I try to do, and I'm always, you know, all of us are always learning. You know, you said you were a lapsed Catholic. I'm a bad Catholic. I think all of us, that's why we need grace as Christians, is because we recognize that there are certain things we got to work on.
Right.
But here's what I'd say about that. So did that comment actually shed light on something and start a discussion, or more anti-family and more anti-child? It's harder to travel. It's harder to go to a restaurant.
Mr. Vice President, you know your grandchild is arriving.
No grandbabies yet.
Not yet. We're very excited for you and Usha, and we wanted to give you a view once.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
We will put this on. We'll send you guys the photo.
Burn it. Burn it.
You know what? He came here with all these ladies that seemingly would hate him, and he's just sitting here and like he's doing. I think he did very well here, personally.
Uh-huh. Yep. I thought he did great.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to see if there was anything else.
I've dug up another one here.
There was one that he's like talking to Whoopi about stuff that she's talking about, like
yeah, that's one I have. Yeah, where Whoopi is like asking him questions that are complete nonsense, and so he tries to answer them, and she's like, "You're putting mouth." Yeah, I've got that one.
So yeah, play whatever you got.
Okay.
How do I get yours? Do you have a clip?
Yeah, I shared it. You just gotta switch. There you
go. Okay.
Because you were talking about people. What did Black people do to this administration that has allowed it to really stigmatize folks of color? And you know how hard it is. You have folks of color in your family.
Sure.
So when you see, you know, things, the Emmett Till stuff coming down, or them doing all kinds of removal of information of Black heroes, how does that sit with you?
Well, what exactly are you talking about, Whoopi? Because you just, I know Emmett Till was the kid. No, I want to know what she's.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Your actual point.
So in a lot of the museums, there's so many. You know, where they're taking down the actual history that happened in this country. Slavery happened. All kinds of stuff happened, and it seems that it has been very easy for this administration to remove that, and also to denigrate Black folks who have worked their behinds off to get this American dream. How do you, I mean, you know better.
So Sonny, that was actually a very helpful intervention, because I think the story you're talking about is where, you know, allegedly the administration is holding back the appointments of people based on skin color. I've seen the story.
I'm talking about a host of things. I'm talking about Black history getting erased from public spaces. Black voter districts are being dismantled. Black leaders are being sidelined from our ranks. Where do Americans of color fit in this vision? Because it doesn't seem like we fit.
I think, Sonny, my view.
And if I may, since October of last year, there's been something like 6,668 refugees allowed into the country. All but 3 were white South Africans.
So first of all, I'm very skeptical of that number, because we have a lot of different immigration pathways in the United States of America. But let me just address Whoopi's point. Look, first of all, you asked the question, and maybe you don't believe this coming from me, but I think everybody is welcome in our political coalition. Frankly, even if you didn't vote for us, everybody is welcome in our country, so long as you're an American citizen with the duties and the legal obligations and rights to be here. But Whoopi, let me just give you an example of this. Okay, so you say that we're anti-minority or anti-Black.
No, I didn't say that. I asked. See?
Well, okay, fine. Fair.
Don't start any stuff with me, man. Don't get me in trouble. But
I misinterpreted your question,
That's
but let me answer your actual.
He's so patient with them; they're so annoying.
Okay, look at Washington D.C. One of the most democratic and one of the blackest, by share of population, blackest cities in the United States of America, has seen a radical decrease in violent crimes and sexual assaults and in murders. We have tried to take the crime issue seriously, in part because we believe everybody, whether you're black or white or rich or poor, deserves to live in a safe neighborhood.
why does the crime? Where does the crime step in? This is not about crime. This is about
lost their jobs.
Right. This is about human
Sonny,
rights.
What you're saying is we got to do more on the economy.
And Black history has been erased from public
Black
spaces.
history is not erased from public spaces.
So much nonsense in one. There's just been erased one, and there are like 5 ladies
We
just
celebrate
bickering
all American history in this administration. You guys might be skeptical of this, but I promise you it's true.
I have to go to break. Anna, God, please, we have more with Vice President J.D. Vance when we come back. Don't do that.
Oh, God, these just... I swear, it's just like a chicken coop.
These charming
women just
considering what
oh
he
my
had to deal
God.
with, he is more patient than I would be.
Oh, yeah.
These ladies, if they started this weird shit with me, I would be really annoyed. Was this something else? I don't know what this was, but
Lasher says they're so stupid. I bet they believe their own lies. They absolutely do.
The lack of clean water, the lack of medical attention, the lack of education. I would urge you as a Christian and as a father to visit those detention centers where the children are being held and make sure that the conditions are up to the values that we hold in this country.
So you guys have thrown a lot at me, and I see we got 30 seconds left here. But let me say, number one,
Vice President, you can go long.
I'd like to pick up on this theme because I think it's really important. We do have to strike a balance, of course, between enforcing our laws. We don't want to dehumanize people. That is the balance that, look, law enforcement, what I'd say about this, law enforcement is always inherently not a very pretty process, especially when you're dealing sometimes with violent people, with people who are resisting arrest. Some of the people that I've been told by the media were completely peaceful, had never violated any laws. You actually look into the record and you find out that those people were actually being violent, or they did have a criminal record. They had a sex trafficking conviction.
Don't have criminal records. So the majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families. They're using children as bait.
But
the majority are not criminals.
But can I respond to that, guys? Let me just say this. Okay. So you talk about the children. Here's what I'd say. Do we know that during the last administration, we had tens of thousands of children who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous and predatory conditions?
Let's talk about this administration.
But here's the point. Unless you enforce the border, you invite that kind of conduct. You think that our immigration policies are inhumane based on the reporting of one person with a political bias. What I'm telling you is that it's inhumane to allow cartels to sex traffic people across our border. And by the way,
please hold on.
I appreciate that. I'm going to get you back, Anna.
We're coming back with more with the vice president, and I've got.
Yeah, so basically, I think that what you see from this thing, I feel like this is one of his best moments that I've seen in a long time. For a while, I felt like J.D. Vance wasn't doing too well, but I feel like now, today in The View, somehow managed to at least score a few points with me, because I felt bad for him. He has to sit with these annoying ladies. They're so annoying. And he really handled it with a lot of grace, in my opinion. Sometimes I've noticed that he gets kind of hot-headed and he gets annoyed, and he was very calm considering the location that you put him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're all kind of attacking him. 6 of these ladies at the same time babbling about nonsense. Almost any average dude would sit there and get really annoyed. I feel like he really he was so patient, Professor. You know what I mean?
He has a lot of patience for it, and this is what I've said. Like, there are a lot of gonna be some interesting candidates, people that are going to be vying for the next presidency in a couple of years. I think JD Vance, Rubio both have some really good resumes built up at this point when it comes to whether or not they would be the next presidential candidate for the for the Republican Party. But I'll say this: JD Vance, he can destroy anyone on a debate stage. Whether he would do that to Rubio, whether they would, go back and forth with Rubio, I don't know. But if he were whoever he's on the debate stage with, if it really is Newsom, even though he's damaged goods, if it really is AOC or Harris running for president again, he can obliterate them on the debate stage, and it's not even going to be funny.
I think so too.
It's just something he's got a skill for, right? And yeah, we'll see here. Over the next year or so, if it starts to rattle out who they think is going to be the candidate on the Republican side, if there is going to be big primaries or not, I don't know. But yeah. Definitely a front runner for sure. And again, were he brought onto onto that stage with the Democratic candidate for president, he would be quite a force to be reckoned with, especially with someone who is as absolutely empty-headed as someone like Newsom. We don't know. Newsom might be in jail by then. We don't know.
So first of all, Caleb Levine says, fun fact, every woman I've met and seen named Joy is anything but a joy to be around.
Let's see. I know 2 Joys, and theory holds up. Yeah.
Wait a second. So there's another thing. What am I missing? What were you saying now? Newsom. So this is not something I didn't put it on our docket, but I see today that there's something he's being investigated. They're looking into him. What do you make of all of that, Professor?
Well, the actual investigation itself has been ongoing for a while. In fact, it started before Trump took office. So him trying to say that Trump is having him investigated is not actually factual. These investigations have been going on for a while. And in fact, I believe one of his aides or someone who worked on his campaign is already facing jail time for having embezzled a huge amount of money from one of his campaigns or another campaign there in California. So, as they say, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? I think it's completely reasonable for them to be investigating, especially when there's word that there's been other things, inappropriate gifts and things like that perhaps that they should be looking at, like special deals he might have got on mortgages for homes and other things like that. So yeah, will he actually end up in jail? Probably not. I would seriously doubt it. But will it potentially damage him? Possibly. It all just depends, right? But yeah, it's if they're bringing a federal case, that would be one thing. If it's something that has to be tried in California, he'll never be convicted.
From what I've seen, nothing ever happens with all this. I will say that it's very strange how they had that train that they got like so much money for, and they built 5 feet of train or whatever it is. That's the thing that I still don't get until today. What happened to all the money with the train? Not to mention all the money with the homeless people. There's things that like nobody can explain what happened to that money, in my opinion, at least.
Oh, we know what happened to that money.
Well, we think we know, but allegedly. But yeah, I mean, definitely strange things.
Yeah, the California High-Speed Rail Project, the one that was supposed to be able to carry you from San Francisco all the way to Los Angeles to Anaheim, even before, in like 2 hours, and then over, this, incredible, amount of time that they've been working on it. Not only has it ballooned from a few $1 billion to tens of billions of dollars, but not 1 mile of it is functional. Yeah, so
very strange.
An absolute joke. Yeah, it makes the what was the tunnel, and was it in Massachusetts? Was it in Boston? That took like 3 times as long as it was supposed to build, and 100 times the budget. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah.
Well, that was that. And what else did we have on our docket? It's a strange day today. What were we even talking about?
There was some stuff about Stargate. There's Hollywood admits defeat. Fox buys Roku.
Oh, okay.
I was going to mention, and there was another. There was a leak that happened over the weekend. Price, if you hadn't seen, there was a leak that had to do with Doomsday. So we could talk.
Was it something about Doom getting rid of all the X-Men or something? I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Did you happen to see it?
I didn't see it, and I don't want to click on anything that would get us in trouble because they're sometimes very adamant about that. But tell us what happens in it, so you can just describe it.
Well, the clips have been up on X for a few days now, so I don't think they're taking anything down. You can find it pretty easily. There's
in terms of putting it on the thing, because some platforms they'll be complaining to them.
Yeah,
maybe they're not X, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So essentially, yes, it shows Doom, who is in command of a bunch of Sentinels that you would know from the X-Men. And then there's a scene with Thor and not Captain America, just Steve Rogers. So he's not Captain America. He's Steve Rogers, who is holding Mjolnir and his shield. And then Thor is holding Stormbreaker, was the name of the axe hammer thing. Yep. And then, yes, they have a bunch of Sentinels that are waking up, and you see what looks to be Yelena and a few of the other X-Men. And you see some Fantastic Four people in there. And this footage has basically been... It's been verified.
Not AI? It's not AI?
No, it's not AI. It's been verified by some of the people who were at CinemaCon, basically saying that, yes, this is this is unfinished footage that's here, but this is footage that they saw as part of their little preview. Okay. Doom in control of the Sentinels, and they're killing the X-Men. Okay.
So they're going to do the thing like with the spaghetti monster? They're just going to roll out all these older X-Men and just get rid of them in 2 seconds?
I don't know. From what I have heard, from what some people have said, it does sound like a lot of these characters are going to be showing up and being wiped out. Right?
I don't know how much I enjoy that.
They're going to show up. They're going to be like, oh, look, we brought back the X-Men. They're dead. Oh, look, here's this, here's these fan favorite characters. They're dead.
They already did this stupid idea with that Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness. It didn't give me anything. It didn't give me anything to see Patrick Stewart become like spaghetti or whatever it is. Like or even that they're like, oh, let's show you like John Krasinski, and now let's get rid of him. The whole thing was just so stupid. I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand any of it. That movie was such a awful movie. People get blindsided by it because it's seemingly made a decent amount of money at the box office. What most people fail to forget is that it came out right after Spider-Man No Way Home, which had Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and it was one of the only more decent, you can call it fan service, but more decent movies that came out for the MCU after Endgame. One of the only like decent ones. And people were so hyped after that movie, and Doctor Strange was in it. They thought, oh, we're going to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It probably ties into what we just saw here on this Spider-Man movie. And like this is exactly what good fan goodwill or good brand health looks like. With that Spider-Man movie, everybody went to see Doctor Strange 2. They made that money, but people know that movie is shitty. I'm sure that when it comes to rewatches, that Multiverse of Madness, I bet you doesn't get a ton of rewatch.
Oh no, absolutely not. I mean, I've only seen it once. I'm not going back to watch that again. That was a mess of a film. I don't know who would bother going back.
Nordronic leaked the beginning of Doomsday from an insider, but maybe they've changed the plot now. I don't know. Do you remember what he said? I must have missed it. I mean, I sometimes watch his streams, or parts of them, but I don't remember what he said about that specifically. In any case, No Way Home, I'll tell you this. No Way Home was a fun time at the theater. It's what you expect when you want to see a fun, call it fan service, but at least it's the good kind of fan service. People that maybe grew up watching the Tobey Spider-Man, or some people that like the Andrew one, even though that one, at least the screenplays weren't very well written. And then you have the Tom Holland movies. To bring them all together and also bring back villains like, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, Alfred Molina, as Doc Ock, bringing back some people there and doing what they did there. It was such a fun kind of thing. And it was, at least in that case, a movie that I felt didn't overload you with messages and things like that. They wanted to do a fun movie, and people reciprocated. People went and they saw it and they had a good time, and it did well. And that's what you want to see. That's the kind of fun you want to see in big movie events like that. So is it the best movie I've ever seen? Like, if you just look at it, on its own, maybe it's not the best that I've seen. Was it a fun movie for me? Did I have a really good time at the theater watching it? I did.
Yeah. I mean, it was an okay, but I mean, it was a fun movie. Like you said, it was kind of a fun movie. Honestly, I had a lot of problems with it, just story-wise, but overall, I enjoyed myself in the theater. I enjoyed watching the film. It was entertaining. And I mean, God, today, the number of films we wish were just entertaining, right?
Right.
Didn't make us just want to leave our seats immediately or doze off because they're so bad. I would kill for a movie that was just entertaining these days.
No, that one was good. Listen, you're right. If you really nitpick, you can poke fun at poke holes at the story or whatever. But I'll tell you this, as opposed to Multiverse of Madness, sometime later at home, I actually did watch No Way Home again, which it says something because since Endgame, I haven't felt like watching anything again. You know what I mean? Like, didn't care, didn't want to watch it again. I barely, the one time I would watch it and I would suffer. No Way Home is the only, I think, MCU movie since Endgame that I said, okay, I'll watch it again now. You know what I mean? But that's very rare. Again, I don't sit around and watch it all day and all night, but I did at least watch it once again at home, which make of that what you will.
Yeah, that's one that I watched. We watched that a second time. Yep.
Kayla Levine says that you got to be careful with that statement because Paul Rubens enjoying himself in a theater too.
This is true. Yes, he did.
Yes.
It's the difference between enjoying yourself in a theater and enjoying yourself in a theater. It's where you put the emphasis in that sentence.
It's like Pink and Pink Floyd. It's the Pink. By the way, so Professor, I wanted to tell you that today, or sometime in the past 2 days, something interesting happened to me.
No.
So I did not know this, but I was doing something and I think I was out and I got, how when you get DMs, even if you don't go into the Twitter app, you get like a notification on your main screen that something, you got some message, but you only see maybe a few words of it, but you don't see the whole thing, but you see that somebody sent you something. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, sure. Yes. Yeah.
So a guy I know, I'm not going to say who it is, a guy I know sent me a message and I could only see the first few words of it, but I could tell that he was asking me if I could do something. And honestly, I couldn't. It's not even a matter of if I wanted to or not. I couldn't even help the person. in that specific instance. Although I wasn't excited, you know what I mean? I wasn't super excited to begin with, but I couldn't help the guy. And I saw the first few words. I had intended when I got home later to answer him, because as opposed to the people that I mentioned to you this week, that a few people did the kind of ghosting that I always think that's rude. I don't care if somebody like has something to say to me that is not, what I want to hear, or it's not good, or it's a no about something, but at least say it. You know what I mean? I never like when people use the strategy of, well, maybe if we don't say anything, he'll just go away or forget that he asked us. You know what I mean? Or asked us a question. I always think that's a shitty thing. So I don't like to do that to other people. So I actually got home and I said, I'm going to answer this guy. I can't help him, but I'm going to give him an answer. And then I go into my Twitter DMs and I look and I can't find the message. And then I go and I find, like, the last time he wrote me a message, because I remembered seeing his name, and there's no message from him. And then I'm like, what is this? Is this like the Mandela effect, that I thought this guy sent me a message? Maybe it's somebody else. And I start going through the DMs looking and I can't find it. And you know what ended up happening? You know what it was?
Was it like an old message or?
No. It turns out that now, in some cases, I don't know, because it doesn't always work, on Twitter, you could send somebody a message and then you could go and delete that message for both of you, which didn't used to exist. That was not a possibility, but now you can do it. So my opinion is that I guess he sent me something asking me for a favor, but then either somebody else helped him out and he didn't need my help anymore, or he just, regretted even asking me for the favor. Whatever the case may be, it solved the whole situation in the best possible way, because then I was going to actually answer him and say, sorry, I don't think I can help, but I didn't even have to go through that process because the person deleted it. So he spared me all of it. The only thing he kind of left me was with this weird Mandela effect situation, that I was sure I saw the message, but then I couldn't understand why I can't see it. But I'm 100% sure that he sent me the message and then he just deleted it. And that's also a way to solve problems. You know what I mean? It got solved in the best way possible. Now that I know that you can delete DMs, then also I'll be more mindful in the future. Won't even waste the time looking for the message. I'll be like, okay, well, that problem was solved without me, which really any problem that gets solved without my involvement is better than one that gets solved with my involvement. You know what I mean?
There you go.
That's just me. Radio Streamer said it should at least say the message was deleted. I am telling you, it's nothing. I can't see anything. There's nothing that says anything was deleted. It's gone. And yeah.
Well, that could also be X chat messaging just being terrible, because we know that it is.
That is a possibility. That is certainly a possibility. I'm not ruling that out, but you never know. In any case, so that was that, and there was something. How do we get here again? We were talking about, can Martin Gate? So the reason I say this is that today I've seen so many things that they keep, like, I see posts online of people, even people that I like, that they're like, we got to back Martin Gero. Martin Gero has to save Stargate. And it's like people that I don't consider bums are like retweeting and reposting and doing this stuff. And they have like change.org and all this weird shit. Do they have a change.org? Let me see. Change save Stargate. I know there was such a thing. See, they have this thing.
Yeah, there's Save Stargate. There was they flew a banner over the city today. Yeah.
So they have
over Amazon headquarters.
Save Stargate with Martin Gero. And the thing is that I respect the people that want to see Stargate come back and they want to see their show come back, and I totally respect that. I'm not dismissing the way they feel. The one part that always bothers me when I see this is that this would be the equivalent of me saying, like, save save Stargate with Alex Kurtzman. You know what I mean? This Martin Gero guy is awful. Now people say maybe you don't know, maybe it was his redemption arc. It's a Schrodinger's Martin Gero. We'll never know if it was his redemption arc or not. All I know is that when I look at his like more recent output, which is the revival of Quantum Leap, it is a revival and I hate to use this word, but it's true, one of the wokest things I've ever seen, which he spearheaded. And when he saw that it failed, he tried to wash his hands of it. But I can't let him wash his hands of something that he himself did. Do you get what I mean?
Oh, no, but he was brought in late. He didn't make any of those decisions.
It's bullshit. It is absolutely bullshit. This Martin Gero guy is a hack and an activist. He's a hacktivist. I don't know if after the failure of Quantum Leap, if he really said, okay, I'm going to stop all this identity politics. I just want to do whatever the fans like. Maybe. Now, I've seen interviews where he cleverly tried to weasel his way out of things, where somebody even mentioned Quantum Leap, and he's like, listen, some mistakes were made on that production. It's not the best work I've done. I recognize, that mistakes were made. But the thing is that, in Game of Thrones Season 8, you can say mistakes were made after, like, there was a good series for several seasons, but then it went off a cliff and they were stupid. You could say mistakes were made. But when from the first day of your arrival, you made this like some activist fever dream, this is not a mistakes were made type of situation. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah.
Let me see if I can I can find something. Basically, this Martin Gero guy. Let me see if I can find this. This is something from 2020 that
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to share over your thing.
Oh, it's okay. You didn't do anything. You can share the other thing. I don't really care. This is something that basically at some point Martin Gero was involved in this thing. It's a series. It was written and produced by Gero and blah blah blah. Now, in this thing, Martin Gero recruited, a person. I'm going to go with person. I don't know. What
Just say person.
A person called Shekinah, whatever this thing. The person on the left here, which is this was involved in his production. So the reason I'm showing you this is that later he would bring her, I don't know. I don't know the titles.
This person.
He would bring this person. He would bring this person to be on his on Quantum Leap. First of all, this person on the left, which he already recruited for this thing that he was doing, I don't know if it's a supposedly a comedy series, which I think failed for NBC. I don't know why they keep rewarding people that failed, but this comedy series of his featured this person, okay, which is an activist. I'm going to get to this person. Remember the name Shekinah, okay? Remember this name. So then he went and he became the guy that's in charge of Quantum Leap. He brings in Shekinah to do a very special episode where there were it involved a high school student that is transitioned and wants to play on the girls' basketball team, even though it wasn't a person that was born a girl, if you know what I'm saying. Are you with me, Professor? I think the professor is already shocked. Professor is gone. Oh, okay. Sorry, he's fixing some technical thing. In any case, Martin Gero brought this person from this show, imported this person into Quantum Leap, and did a very thing with students and transitioning and things like that. Now, this person, Shekinah, was the person that wrote and I think directed that episode. And then people are like, I just want to make this clear just so you see. I'm going to do a Google here. Trying to do a Google. I hope people can hear me because the professor is gone. So it's either I'm gone or the professor is gone. If somebody can hear me, drop me a line now. Just tell me you can hear me. In any case, there's this woman here. A person. Let me try to pull this up. I'm good. You can hear me? Good. So I don't know why I can't. The Google isn't working. It's so weird. Oh, so annoying. Okay, finally I found it. So if you're ready, let me share this screen. This is the person that Martin Gero hired, first of all, for that show that he had, and then imported this same person to Quantum Leap. And because a lot of people, they want to go with the idea of, well, Martin Gero wasn't woke, the powers that be really forced his hand on it, but he already had a relationship with this person, which he brought for that initial show that I think also failed. Let's see, this thing, it had 8 episodes and failed. Okay. The series was canceled after 4 episodes. Gero filmed 8 episodes of this nonsense with the person that I was showing you. After 4 episodes were aired, they canceled the show. They couldn't even air the full 8 of them. That's how bad it was. So this same person that was with Gero, working with Gero on this thing, let me see. Let's look at the bio, okay? So the bio is Shekina is an American actress and transformer activist, most notable for a series Lola and the blah 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 and difficult. In any case, the bottom line is she is first of all this person is first of all an activist in support of Transformers. So Gero, who had a relationship with this person on a show that failed, wouldn't even air the 8 episode, 4 episodes out of 8, brings this person to do this kind of school kids thing with transitioning on on Quantum Leap. Now, however you want to feel about that topic, I don't even, I have my own thoughts about it. I personally wouldn't have put that storyline and whatever that they did that. I wouldn't even do that on the show. But it's not only that they did it, it's the way they did it on the show. They basically created an episode that if you have anything to say about somebody that wasn't born a woman playing in women's sports, if you say anything, you're the worst person ever. And that's the message of the show. It couldn't be more blunt and more woke or whatever you want to call it. And this was all Gero's doing. And now some people will say, well, you know what, Gero, he, the network forced his hand on it. He did that one episode. He didn't mean it. And he actually was like not part of it. The only problem is that after one season of that terrible Quantum Leap show that he was the showrunner of, that he did terrible, terrible things on, the second season was his chance to course correct. And I said that at the time in my reviews, which were very, very negative, and I addressed him personally, and I said, you have a chance to fix this in season 2. Please do that. And the reason I also, talked about it at the time, I thought it was a terrible show. And I'm going to say this very quickly and move on. I have reason to believe, and let's put it nicely, that there were people from that production, maybe Gero himself, that saw some of my reviews and probably wasn't happy about them. But I actually spoke to him directly and said, you could try to fix this for the second season. What does he do in second season? He takes this Shekina person and adds them to the production team as one of the producers. And that's why in the second season, you also had more nonsense like this. It also was, in the original Quantum Leap show, you had Sam Beckett. Sometimes he would leap into a woman. But honestly, out of 25 episodes a season, maybe 4 or 5, he'd be leaping into a woman. Most of them, he's a man. Usually when he's a woman, it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing. They wanted to do that to show some balance, but it wasn't the majority of the leaps. The majority of the leaps was not that he was a woman. What happens on Martin Gero's Quantum Leap with this person, as a person on his team? Every 5 minutes, that guy is a woman. Every 5 minutes, a woman who's into other women, all this stuff. It's like, dude, what the fuck? What have you done with this show? With just every single trope from the woke era that you could think of, all injected into every stupid episode of this piece of garbage that was all Martin Gero's doing. And then...
Yeah, I did not watch this, but I remember you telling me the stories about an episode where he goes back into the 1960s and then tries to explain to a kid that, in the future we have non-binary pronouns and you don't have to be a boy or a girl. BS like that. Oh my God.
It was terrible. It was terrible, Professor. And the thing is, there's nothing, and that's even before we even think about the fact that they had a person, again, I don't know if person is the right way to describe or what pronouns or what I'm supposed to say, but there was a person at the base of Quantum Leap that would often walk around in a cocktail dress, although you wouldn't think that person would be wearing a cocktail dress, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And it also, forget about all the stuff that, like, it's just annoying and all that stuff. I don't think that in a military base that person would be walking around like that. I mean, maybe in the Biden area, maybe they did. I don't really know, but man, here, let
terrible.
me show you this.
Terrible.
This is the thing. Let me show you this thing because I didn't find a clip of it, but somebody wrote this, not me. But do you see this?
Yep.
Eveline Winters wrote this August 2024. Seriously, can the woke brigade not leave anything alone? I was thoroughly enjoying the new season of Quantum Leap, but they've ruined it with a binary in the 50s. Get in the bin, utter nonsense. And this was the thing where he finds a person from the 50s and tells them, how they can decide what gender they want to be and all this weird stuff. It's like, man, the thing is, if, let's say, this show, with the exception of some instances like this, if the show was like fantastic and adventure and time travel and wonderful and awesome and amazing, and once in a while you do something and you're like, well, this was kind of annoying, maybe you say, well, it's an episode that I don't like, but they did a lot of good things. Everything was like this. Everything was awful and just completely littered with all of this, like, agenda peddling type of stuff. And it was all under his watch. He was the showrunner. He wasn't the guy that's like hiding behind. He wasn't like the seventh assistant director. He was the showrunner. He wrote some of these episodes. He directed some of these episodes. He is the number one honcho on this show. It is his show. If you wanted to say that there were things that maybe, he was forced to do and didn't want to, you could possibly say that about early in the first season. But the fact that in the second season, where he barely got a renewal, this Gero guy, barely, by the skin of his teeth, as my friend Script Doctor says, he believes that the only reason they got a second season is that NBC didn't have another show lined up for that slot that maybe they wanted or didn't want. And it was sort of kind of on the bubble. It wasn't doing spectacular for them, but they're like, maybe we'll just give it another season. Maybe it'll grow the audience. So Martin Gero had an unprecedented opportunity here to steady the ship and do something different. What does he do? Doubles down on all the crap. So all this kind of, shucks, mistakes were made. I don't buy it. I don't buy it unless this guy really had a talking to from somebody, did this whole like process with himself, and he got up one day and he said, that's it. I never want to peddle another agenda again. I want to only do like escapist storytelling and high quality sci-fi. Yeah. That's all I want to do. Unless he did that, this is the Martin Gero that I know, because this is the last thing that he did. I'm supposed to believe that he went through a process, but now he loves the fans. Careful what you wish for. I don't know. Maybe at the end, it'll turn out that one day they'll greenlight and let him do this show and he'll be fantastic. Maybe. But I have zero faith in this guy. I keep saying Martin Gero, for me, in my personal opinion, is a zero. That's what his name. Gero is a zero. And nothing, unless there's nothing that he's done that has redeemed him from what I've seen, in Quantum Leap. And Quantum Leap wasn't 50 years ago. It was recent. You know what I mean? It's not
just the last few years.
Last few years, he did it. I think that it was like between 2022 to 2024, he took like Quantum Leap and flushed it down the toilet. This isn't something where you're like, well, he was young and he needed the money. You know what I mean? Like, this is not one of those situations.
Yep. And so here's what I was sharing. This is from our friend Ro, Scarif Podcast. He posted this earlier today. So what if fans save Stargate? They make it, fans watch it, and it sucks. Oh, yes. So I had a reply to this, which is basically my thoughts exactly. So all of these fans that are saying, bro, Martin Gero, he was going to do it right. Oh, you bring back, you're going to make it, it's going to be the best show ever. All of these fans have convinced themselves of three things. And they have to believe all three of these things, or else this whole idea doesn't make any sense. So they have to believe that all these writers from that they've brought on, that Gero and Malazzi and all of these, everyone else is going to be there, that one, they actually still have good ideas for continuing the show. Because you remember when the show ended, it petered out, right? People say it was canceled early. Atlantis was canceled early. This show was, Universe was canceled early. No, the quality of those shows was going down significantly before they were canceled. I'm not saying that over 15 years they couldn't have some great new ideas, but you have to accept that, yes, the fans are saying they had some great new ideas on how to continue this show. Okay, great. Two, that these writers, Gero as the head, writer, whoever, showrunner, was actually going to be able to stand up to the Amazon executives and all of their demands for the show. Which we know, we've already seen many productions from Amazon and how we've seen all of the rules that they have for all of the DEI things that have to be included in their shows in order for them to move forward. Like we've actually seen the documents for the requirements that they have for any of their productions. And then the third thing is you have to believe that all of these writers have not already been captured by the message themselves. Right?
Absolutely.
So you have to believe all three of those things. You have to say all of those were going to be true, and this show was going to be great. I can't believe all three of those things. Do they have some good ideas for the show? I'll give them that. I'll say, you know what? Maybe these guys, they've come up with some great things that would help them build something new. Do they have the ability to stand up to the Amazon executives? Not a chance in hell. None of them have been in they've been in the business for a while, but none of them have the clout to be able to tell the executives what they will and won't do. And have they been captured by the message themselves? Well, some of them, there's evidence that perhaps they have. And you just put that out there talking about, our friend Martin Gero and his, part that he took in the production of the new Quantum Leap.
But do you get what I'm trying to say? He's not just a guy. They make it seem like there was a captain and he was just like an innocent passenger on this train. He's not an innocent passenger. He was the captain. He brought his own people. They put in these type of messages. That guy leaped into a woman almost every week. And each time, in some cases, he was leaping into a woman that was then in a relationship with a woman, but he's a man with a woman. It was all just, it just was plagued by the message in such a bad way that you couldn't even take it seriously. And I'll tell you another thing. When it comes to time travel, if you don't actually honor the time period that you've leaped into, that if you've traveled to a time, I'll give you an example. There was an episode, I believe, I'm not going to go rewatch it now, but I believe there was an episode that he leaped into a guy, a doctor, a priest or something like that in 1920 something or 1916 or I don't know what. So he's in some kind of town and it's supposedly an upper scale family that has a woman that's sort of possessed or something. They tried to do a spooky thing. I don't know what. So they have this whole thing and they bring, a doctor to take care of her. And the doctor is like, not my business. It's not. How do I explain this? If this was happening in 2026, there's no issue with this whatsoever. The doctor was this very diverse man. Now, they would never bring in 1916, that guy would never be their doctor. There's nothing you can do. That man would never be their doctor in 1916. People tried to tell me, maybe you don't understand. Maybe it was a situation delicate and another doctor didn't want to come, so they brought this guy. Even if that were the case, a sentence in the screenplay needed to explain that, but they didn't explain it because that's not what they were going for. They would just often, no matter what time they were showing on screen, whether it's the 20s, the 50s, the 70s, the 1800s, they had something like with witches in Boston or whatever it is that they did, it was all the same 2020 something bullshit message. You know what I mean? Like the whole show, no matter what, it's always like that. He travels to the 70s, he meets some lady, she's like the biggest girl boss ever, and she's talking about like women's rights and this and that and this and that. That conversation would not happen there. You know what I mean? It was just time and time again, over and over, just a misrepresentation of any time period that they leaped into, with him in women every 5 minutes, and it was just a bunch of bullshit. And Gero was 100% responsible. And I'm going to word what I have to say very carefully. I don't know if I should say it. There were some issues when I did, some reviews, and I suspect that like some people may have seen those reviews and not liked them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And let's leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically what I'm saying is Martin Gero is one of the biggest failures ever. He is not worthy. When I hear that there's like planes flying around with like banners with like Gero on it, what are you celebrating? You don't know who this guy is. They're like, well, 20 years ago, he was he did something on Stargate Atlantis. I don't give a fuck what he did 20 years ago. Sorry, Sean. RTD, Russell T. Davies, he did good work on Doctor Who. Then he came back and was completely, brainwashed with the message, and that's what he turned the show into, and it completely fell off a cliff. It was already falling off a cliff, but it fell off a cliff even more. Kind of the final nail, or whatever you want to call it, completely collapsed. And beyond any point of recovery, when he had the chance to course correct, much like Gero in season 2 of Quantum Leap, he could have said, "Okay, I didn't ask for all of this, but now I'm in charge here, and this season is mine from the beginning." I even though that's all bullshit, because the whole thing with Gero is they filmed a pilot which the network didn't like because it was two disciples of J.J. Abrams and Alex Kurtzman that were given the job. They filmed a pilot that the network seemed to think wasn't very good. So Martin Gero, who I think was already acting as some kind of executive producer, they asked him if he could step in. Already from the day one, I think he was an executive producer. They asked him if he could step in and refilm another pilot and maybe sideline these other guys that they were supposed to be showrunners, whereas he's just an executive producer in the mix, that he would be the showrunner and they would just be in the background, still have some kind of executive producer title. So they did that switcheroo. He could claim that there were decisions made early on in the show, that it wasn't his idea, but man, between season to season, he had so many things he could have done. There's so many things he could have done to fix this mess of a problem. The world was his oyster. You know what I mean? The world was his oyster. He could have done anything he wanted. It was the one chance that this Zero guy had a chance to show, I'm putting my foot down. Let me show you what I can do. I don't subscribe to the message. I want to do this, my way. But no, he doubled down, tripled down. And I don't feel like it's a situation that somebody forced his hand. I think that he enthusiastically wanted to do exactly this woke nonsense with all the message and the agenda peddling. He did exactly what he wanted. And now people that are just ill-informed are going around, even sometimes people that I like are like talking about him like he's so great. I don't want to say names because I don't want to throw people under the bus. I can understand the idea of being so excited about a property that you like and really wanting it to come back. And this kind of thing that some of the other producers talked about, how they love the fans and wanted to do it for the fans. I don't want to insult fans of this show that like it and really want it to come back. But I'm telling you that this could be a Pet Cemetery type of coming back, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Karate Werewolf, I haven't seen you in a while. What's up?
Hey, Karate Werewolf.
So I've ran this.
Yeah. And thanks for the joining at the Leaper level, Karate Werewolf. Yeah, very nice. Thank you. I mean, let's see. Ista over on YouTube was saying, I believe only one thing. Joe Malazzi said it was good. Okay. I mean, that's just one guy though. I like Joe Malazzi. All right. But also Joe wasn't in the writer's room. He was a consulting producer, basically. Like, he reviewed some scripts and stuff. Like, he wouldn't be helping run the show in the long run, right? Maybe he's helping make sure that the pilot's good or that they've got a good idea going forward. But Joe Malazzi was never going to be a consistent part of the writer's room going forward.
Joe Malazzi is a check collector. I'll give you an example, and this is something that's also interesting and Quantum Leap related. I'm sorry, and it's fine if you like him, and I'm not trying to throw him. Maybe he's great. Maybe his intentions are good. I'll give you an example. For Quantum Leap with Gero, there's a lady called Deborah Pratt. Deborah Pratt was the wife of Donald P. Belisario, who created Quantum Leap. She was, and I give her that, she was basically one of the top people in the writer's room there. She was an executive producer on the show throughout most of its run, and by all accounts, ran or ran the writers' room, or at least had a significant presence in the writing room. There's screenplays that she wrote. I think she's very talented. Now, this Deborah Pratt lady, I think she's a biracial person or something. I don't know exactly. I think she's like a diverse woman. So basically, when they made this show, Donald P. Belisario gets an executive producer credit no matter what, because like he created it. So he doesn't have to do anything. Donald P. Belisario is in his late 80s. He's probably like every day he sits by the pool and gets like massages or whatever it is that rich people do when they're in their late 80s. I don't have a problem with that. Had no input on this Quantum Leap show aside from the fact that they put his name and cut him a check every week. Now, Deborah Pratt, they put her name also, and they cut her a check every week. But in her case, they didn't really let her get into the writer's room. She maybe wrote or I think she directed one episode that she didn't write. That's all they let her do. Not that she was known for like her directing skills, but she did fine with the episode. I thought it was an okay, relatively speaking, to how bad this show was. Maybe it was one of the more watchable episodes. She didn't write it though, you know what I mean? They didn't let her, instead of saying, okay, we have somebody who was like a real writer from the original show, let's see what ideas she has, like what she can bring to the table. Nothing. This lady barely contributed anything. Meanwhile, Gero would sometimes, and this is no joke, Gero and this other guy, Dean Gregorius or whatever his name is, Gergerio, whatever the fuck that guy's name, Dean Gergerio and Martin Gero, they would let their secretaries write episodes for Quantum Leap, but they wouldn't let the lady that actually did something. You know why they really kept her on payroll, the lady, the Deborah Pratt lady? Do you know why they kept her on payroll, Professor?
For clout or for
they would roll her out. They would roll her out to interviews along with Ernie Hudson. They would have them stand there and tell the people how great like diversity is and things like that. It really, I thought like, neither Ernie Hudson nor this lady need to be standing and babbling about any of this either. And Ernie Hudson was so wasted on this show. Like you could tell that he was, when the show was airing, he was a trooper. He like went out in every interview and said, it's so great. They're doing this, they're doing that. Very professional. After the show ended, he said what I said. I said, like, you got a guy that actually is a good actor. He has credibility. He has a track record in the industry. He's on your sci-fi show. Fucking give this guy something to do. And I think he started saying in interviews later, well, maybe they could have done more with my character. He didn't say it initially, but after enough time passed, even he started saying that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying here is I am not putting this Gero on a pedestal. Unless you tell me that there's some kind of significant event that happened and that he somehow between 2024 and 2025, when he started working on this Stargate, he became a different person. He went to a special clinic that deletes the message from your mind, and then you go out and you're like the best sci-fi writer ever, even though 5 minutes ago you were the dumbest sci-fi writer ever and you just were infected by the message. Unless he went through some kind of clinical trial, you know what I mean? Some experimental medication that solved this problem. What makes me believe that this man was any different? And again, those other guys, Joseph and Brad Wright, they were not the showrunners. They were people that were going to get probably contractually obligated anyways. They were going to get a credit. Could they maybe they sat in the writers' room, maybe they gave ideas, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I can't take that seriously because I've already seen a situation where he brought credible people around him and just used them as kind of like useful idiots, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep. Absolutely.
So yeah,
yep. And we got a raid over on Rumble from Third Railify. So thank you so much, Third Railify, and
thanks,
welcome
guys. Yeah,
everybody.
Those are good guys at Third Railify.
Yeah, fun show they got over there. Yeah,
very, very nice. Thanks, guys. And he went through conversion therapy to get rid of the message. But do you get what I'm saying, Professor? You could say, well, it's now 10, 20 years later after that Quantum Leap debacle. He changed. He's a different person. But come on, man. It was 5 minutes earlier. Now he's a different person. Let me see for a second. Let's see if I can find this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can find this thing that I'm looking for. Okay. I haven't watched this. I don't know that this is it. But let me try to do this. This is them at WonderCon, okay?
Yeah.
Are you ready? I've watched a clip that's of interest. I don't know that this is that clip.
Oh, thank you. I love the blazer. Got color.
The lady on the right is the lady that did the original, writer's room for Quantum Leap. This is Ernie Hudson, which you all know. They were on the part of this Quantum Leap under Martin Gero, who was the showrunner. And they would roll them out to these fan conventions, always like with weird agenda peddling. Now, I don't know if this is the interview. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll really talk about like quality stuff. But I remember seeing some of these interviews and saying like, these are just basically like, I don't know. I hate to say token or whatever you want to call it, but they're just rolling them out to just roll this. Do you get what I'm saying? It felt like some weird agenda thing. I almost felt bad for these guys who actually have credentials and don't need to be doing any of this,
There, sir.
Oh, I love that. I love the hair.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Wow.
So what is it like being part of this version, this new reboot of Quantum Leap?
It's always been an honor to be part of this show. It's from the moment it was conceived, and when we went in to pitch it to the studio and the network, it was unique and special and touching.
She's talking about the first one, not this one.
To television that wasn't really there, which was hope for a better future. Could you change the time if you went back? Could you change something to affect your life or somebody else's life? And it was incredibly well crafted to do that. And I think that this new evolution of it gets to go deeper because we couldn't go to the present and hang out there because we couldn't afford it. So we've got all these great stories in the past, but now we've got a team, led by our fearless leader to talk about what's happening in the past and why is it happening and how does it affect us in the present.
What about you? What's it like being on this Quantum Leap?
Well, it's very exciting. This is, I've been doing this for a long time. So for me to get a chance to be a part of a show that I think people can watch and share with their, families can come together.
They're very professional, but there was one moment that they started with this diversity thing. And I don't know if this is this interview or not.
And so it just opens up. And I'm so happy to be a part of a show that isn't just about being at war with somebody or, getting the bad guy and who was the bad guy and all that stuff. So this is, I've always loved Quantum Leap, and I'm so thankful that I was chosen to be a part of this.
Yeah, as you're saying, it's a show where you get to look into different people's lives. And on this new, like I keep saying new, but it's, I love that it's so great that it's continuing what already exists. So it's not negating what happened. But with this new one, we're getting to see into lives of more diversity of people and of culture. If you could talk about what that process has been like behind the scenes and then as an actor too.
Did you see it?
Well, it's something that we did back then. The first time we did a show where he leapt into a woman, the first time we did a show where he leapt into a black man, they told me, no, we can't do that until you're 3. And I went, yeah, we can. And luckily, the head of the network, Brandon Tartikoff at the time, was visionary enough to go, yeah, you know what, she's right. We can. And I think it made the difference and set the tone of the show, that it could be about something, that we could address issues and not tell someone what to think, but say, here's 2 sides of a story. What do you think?
But that's what it used to be. It's not what it was under Gero.
Water cooler at the time, it was chat rooms. That's how early we were. To really talk about things that they never had the opportunity to talk about. And if we don't need that right now, I don't know what we do. We need hope. I think I agree with Ernie. We're seeing too many anti-heroes or superheroes. But where's the hero? Where's the everyday hero that you and I can be? And I think that's what Quantum brings to the table. And we entertain, but at the same time, we make you think.
Where's the everyday hero that makes sure to correct people about their pronouns?
At a different place as a society, and television. I mean, talk about diversity. There wasn't a whole lot of diversity. And I know I've been working in TV since the 60s. And so just this cast. So, it's not even altogether just walking in someone else's shoes. To me, it's letting go of the fear. So much we don't know. And so on our show, you get a chance to see people that...
No, I have to say that these 2 people are getting paid and they have to do these talking points. So all this diversity thing, they've been coached to do it. I personally think that these guys are from an era where it's not just like they were diverse people in an era that succeeded because they were actually talented. Now they're walking around and this is just show has become like agenda peddling. They can't say that, obviously. They became the ambassadors for this show. The more kind of messagey it got, they would roll these guys out to keep talking about how like they were diverse back then and how much they love diversity. And anytime you see this, Martin Gero is nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found, Martin Gero. Just rolls out these people, hiding behind these 2 people as he fails and runs that show and that franchise into the ground, hiding behind veterans that actually don't need to be here and don't need to be talking about this.
You might not have normally seen. And America, the world, in a lot of ways, is still very segregated in a lot of ways. And so it allows you an introduction to people. It allows you, I think once you get to know and once you get to see, you realize that we don't have to be so afraid. And if you can let go of the fear, you can make other choices. And to me, it's about.
It's also funny. Look at this lady interviewing them. This is exactly how she would look. You know what I mean? If I had to, if I had to prompt AI to give me a lady to interview these two guys, this would be. Do you get what I'm trying to say, Professor?
Yeah.
She's almost a meme of herself.
The choices that we make in every leap, there are choices being made that if they aren't corrected, it'll go in a way that we. So those choices affect what comes next, and it affects the world, and that's really where we are, even as individuals. But to be aware of that, so to me, that's all very, very exciting. And at a time where we are really sort of exploring other ways of looking at things. I mean, even me coming into the show, I've had to kind of go, you know what? Let me rethink that. You know, we get into pronouns or just being able to just open up and allow people to live their lives.
Professor, did you see that?
We get into pronouns. Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
you
know what
really?
He's actually saying between the lines? He's like, even I had to whatever. Basically, what he's saying is that prior to being like attached to this show and being bothered with all this nonsense, he probably didn't give much thought to pronouns. But now all they keep lecturing him, even on set, is about this stupid shit. Do you understand how crazy this is? This is Martin Gero's set. This is a Martin Gero production. Martin Gero is the showrunner for the 2 seasons. He's the big honcho, the big chief.
And I think the show adds to all of that. It's very exciting.
On the most recent episode, we get some big reveals and there's a lot going on now. Break it down of what's happening, or at least maybe a little, so in case people are confused.
Well, okay. So Ben finds out that his fiancée, who's about to marry, is about to die and going to be killed from someone from the future. So Ben looks at does the math, and makes the choice to step into the accelerator and vanish. At which point, he has mapped out what he thinks are a pattern of leaps that are going to get him to the person that's going to harm this woman that he loves. The trick of the story is he right? Is this something that time or God or Ziggy or whoever?
She has nothing to do with the story. She's basically just peddling whatever Gero told her to say, and Gero is the biggest hack on the face of the earth.
Whoever is going to allow him to save. Was he always supposed to come into this accelerator and make these changes? In the meantime, he discovers that he has the ability to help people. And he has the ability, I think Ernie nailed it, to address the fear that we live in, that we've been taught to live in for so many, many, many millenniums.
Yeah,
we need to be afraid of each other. But he can see that that's not the case. And so he literally leans into saving the people that he's there to save, with the ultimate goal of saving the woman that he loves and hoping that he changes time for the best.
Nice mix of romance, fate, and destiny.
Well, nice wrap up.
Yeah. It's called life. It's called life, yes.
Anything else you'd like to add or tell the fans?
I'd like to tell the fans that this is your show. So write into us. Tell us the story that you want Ben to leap into, to fix and put right what once went wrong. Because the more you talk to us, the better we understand who you are.
And by the way...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, let us know. Yeah.
So, just so you know, this is what we're being told about Martin Gero with Stargate. He loves the fans. He wants to hear the fans' input. He cares about the fans. These 2 people were from his show that he's hiding somewhere, sending them out to babble about pronouns and diversity when his whole show was like pronouns and diversity. Now, again, I want to just say so that, people don't misunderstand me. I don't have anything, I am pro-diversity. It's all great. I think that people should get opportunities no matter who they are. If they're good at something, and they shouldn't be overlooked because of something about them. I want to make that clear. But whatever it is that these 2 guys are peddling here in the name of this weird agenda peddling, this I don't agree with. This is not that. You know what I mean? This is some weird nonsense. And I don't like it. This is why I don't like the woke stuff, because it's disingenuous. And at the end of the day, in order to push this, peddle all these weird things, they just sacrifice the story of the show, the lore of the show, the quality of the show, just as long as they can roll out these people that are just there. They're hiding behind them. These people are human shields. Deborah Pratt and Ernie Hudson are a human shield that they've rolled out, and they would do this for 2 years, roll them out at every corner so they can go and protect them from this weird shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even the thing with all the pronouns, whatever, I don't care what anybody, like, what their preferences are or what they do. I don't care. I really don't care. In spite of what it seems, I like people. I am cool with people no matter what background and all that other stuff. But I don't think that you should hijack shows, insert activists for certain causes that some of them are at minimum not consensus, if you know what I'm trying to say, and try to shove that into your show and hijack the show. I'm against that. And Martin Gero, I have not zero respect for Gero, who's a zero. Negative respect for the man. You know what I mean? This man has to do so much to prove to me that he's not. And this is just my opinion. Okay, here at Price of Reason, we don't take responsibility for anything that I said. It's speculation, and it's just my personal opinion. But I think that Martin Gero is weasel. You know what I'm saying? So I have nothing good to say about him. I anytime I see, like, you know, his name on change and like planes flying around with banners and smoke, like, you know, I love you, Gero, in the sky. I think that people are completely not in touch with what's going on. Not that I blame them for wanting Stargate back. I understand that. I'm just saying they don't understand who this man is, yet they're going around like singing his praises and you know and glazing him without realizing that this man has on his track record just recently taking a beloved franchise and flushing it down the toilet with a message. Him personally, it's him. I just wanted to show some proof. That's what I wanted to do today, because I didn't want it to be that I'm just, you know, some people are like, oh, he's just some bitter asshole. And maybe I am a bitter asshole, but I'm saying I wanted to show you some proof today, Professor, so that it's not just some abstract thing. Are you starting to understand what I'm trying to tell you?
No, I absolutely know what you're getting at. Yeah, this was not something that Martin Gero just sort of came into late in the process, and it was all already sort of formed, and it was this was all of this stuff was in place, and it just continued on in the second season. But we're gonna go we're gonna jump into the accelerator, we're gonna travel through time to you know, save the world by talking about pronouns. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's all just so ridiculous. Oh, we need to tackle the most important things about, you know, what's happening today. We need to talk about these issues today by just ham-fisted, you know, ridiculous storylines that we're not gonna help you think about things. We're gonna tell you what you're supposed to think about things. That's how all these shows are, man. That's how they, you know, anytime they bring this stuff in, it's never like, you know, you go back to Star Trek The Next Generation, the episode where they go to a planet, Riker kind of falls for this alien on this planet where they actually don't have gender at all. Right, it's actually supposed to be a metaphor for homosexuality, but you have this planet where you got these people that don't have a gender, except there's some people that do have a leaning towards being male or female, and so then they actually, you know, the society like reinforces this by re-educating these people and, you know, teaching them that they're wrong about wanting to, you know, explore their genders, whatever, and this whole story is a metaphor for homosexuality, the way that it's treated in different societies and so on. And it's really well thought out. It's well considered. And when it's presented to you, you are allowed to decide how you feel about this. The show has a viewpoint. It leans, you know, one direction, but you're allowed to look at it and think about it on your own. And it doesn't just slap you in the face saying, don't you see what a bigot you are? You know, don't you understand? You know, this is what you're supposed to think. This is how you're supposed to be. Like, it actually takes something and it leaves it there for you to consider. And that's one thing that a lot of the best science fiction and fantasy storytelling has allowed, you know, them to do. Speculative fiction lets you extrapolate out and create metaphors and, you know, to be able to tell these stories without just beating you over the head with it. And the best ones allow you to look at it from different angles and consider what it means and how you feel about it. How should you feel about it? Have you ever even considered it? Like, it's, you know, it makes it something that you are actually thinking about and working over through your own process. It doesn't try to just tell you what you're supposed to think, what you're supposed to feel. And that's all that these storytellers that are writing these shows now, whether it's Quantum Leap or anything else, that's all they know how to do now, is just bash you over the head with, you know, you're such a bigot. You should feel this way. Why don't you, you know, why don't you agree with us? Why don't you think this way? If you don't think this way, you're terrible. I mean, it's insane. It's so frustrating. And that's one of the reasons that so much storytelling, so many different shows have gone the way of just being just garbage, just worthless garbage, because they don't know how to tell a story anymore. They don't know how to use metaphors. They don't know how to use, different ways of telling stories so that they can present ideas to you. It always has to be ensuring that no, there's only one way to think about an issue, right?
Right. I also, and I said this in my review for that transformer person in that show that Gero did. So basically, in that quantum leap with the transformer high school student, what I said at the time was, if they actually mirrored what the original show did, and I gave an example, uh, the original show had an episode where Sam is in the 60s and he's at like a naval academy, and there's a cadet that is fond of dudes. And that became sort of like a hot button. It was a hot button issue at the time. But in order to address it, what they did throughout the episode is actually Al and Sam had different opinions. Al was, telling Sam reasons for the whole episode why he thinks that guy probably shouldn't serve, whereas Sam was trying to tell Al his reasoning for why he thought that he should serve. Okay, so you had an episode, for whatever it's worth, that they're going back and forth and trying to convince each other, mirroring kind of what you see in America at that moment in time. Do you get what I mean? It was a hot topic issue, but instead of making it so that one person both of them feel a certain way, and anybody that doesn't agree with them is a villain, they had two people, their main characters of the show, disagreeing on the topic. Do you get what I'm saying?
Of course. Yeah.
Now, at the end of the episode, of course, like, Al kind of softens his position and he accepts that he is the way, whatever it is. And you could claim that would be like a little more messagey, that Al kind of backs off and says, well, maybe I have to look at it a different way or whatever it is. But I think that throughout the episode, not making anybody that thinks differently than the more progressive thought, not making that person a villain, I think that was very important into showing what a conversation looks like in America at that time. Now, this episode that Gero did, and any episodes, but the one with the Transformer high school student, the message of the episode is clear. Either you agree with the message that they're telling you, or you're the worst villain ever. You know what I mean? Anybody that has anything to say is a mustache twirling, evil, toxic person. If they have anything to say that there's a person on a woman's basketball team, if you understand what I mean, if you have anything to say about that, you're the worst person that ever lived. That's the message of the episode. That to me also shows that they're not doing they're not honoring the show. And that's in spite of what they rolled out to Deborah Pratt and Ernie Hudson to say. They are not honoring the show if they're just making it that you either agree with their message or else. And that's exactly what Gero did. And just so you see, this is almost a time capsule in and of itself. This is what I had to say after the first season of Quantum Leap. I fast forwarded to this part. I hope this is the part that I wanted. This is from the video that I did at the time that I think that I tried to address Martin Gero. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Now, I could go on and on about how awful this episode is, but I would probably need to create several videos to do so, and at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. After one season of this so-called sequel series, all I can say is that this show is a cheap, lazy, steaming pile of shit led by a producer who is both incompetent and, in my opinion, a creative con man. What did you think about the season 1 finale of Quantum?
I thought there was more. Maybe there was earlier in the review I said it, but I would often point out Gero's behavior, and all I can say is this. The man has zero credit with me. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. Sorry, typing.
Right. So Caleb Levine says that's called pros and cons. They can't do that because to have a con against your argument means there's a negative, and they couldn't have possible flaws in their ideology. I don't want to bore everybody. I played you that episode, right? I played you that video before. I must have the one with Quantum Leap and the Transformer person. I played you that one, right?
Yes.
So I won't bother you with it again. But trust me when I tell you that it pinpoints everything that's wrong with Gero, and I am sticking by what I'm saying. So as far as I'm concerned, Brad Wright and Joseph were probably people that were like Ernie Hudson and Deborah Pratt here. Do you get what I mean? They collect checks. Maybe they gave some input. Probably if Gero wanted it differently, he does whatever he does. He's the showrunner. You want to hope that they brought some ideas here that weren't bad. You want to hope that they wanted to honor it. But honestly, can't take the guy seriously. Unless, like I said, he how when you're an alcoholic, you go to or you're addicted to something and you go to the Betty Ford thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yes.
Unless there's like a Betty Ford for people who are brainwashed with the message, and Martin Gero walked out of NBC after failing with Quantum Leap and running it into ground with crap. Unless he went to the Betty Ford clinic for message, which he spent a few months there, and when he left, he's suddenly he wants to make the best sci-fi ever. I don't see how 5 minutes later he's suddenly a wonderful person. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't see how we get from A to B here. I would not put this names anywhere. And the final thing I'll say, there's even one guy, I don't want to mention his name, one guy who's always such a hard ass about every stupid thing to a fault, a guy that kind of annoys me, quite honest. And even that guy is sitting around all day and glazing him. It's dude. Your whole claim to fame is that you call out this bullshit and now you're glazing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what I have to say. Anyhow, what else were we talking? People got the biggest Martin Gero rant ever.
We were talking some in there was who was asking initially. Was it Big Sur River was asking how many people, how many people in America are actually woke? Is it half the people? Is it getting worse or is it dying? It's not that many. Of course, it depends on what state you're in. It depends on where you are in that state. It depends on the number of people. Depends on your workplace and stuff like that too, right? But what is the actual percentage nationwide? People that would actually be full on woke, totally bought into cultural Marxism, all of that stuff, probably 15%. It depends. Again, you're in somewhere like California, it is probably closer to 50%. But again, it depends on where you are in California. There's probably many places in California where that, the ideologies and stuff like that are not in control. But the problem is that you have quite a few people who have now been forced into silence about it, right? They can't let their views be known because then they're going to be called racist and they're going to lose their jobs. They're going to be whatever, right? They're going to have their business place picketed or something, right? There's all kinds of stuff like that, right? It's actually a very small number, but they're very vocal and they're very nasty and they have positions of power where they can they can do damage to you, right? That's what cancellation, people being canceled, that's what it's all about. It's about using the oversized power and abusing systems in order to get people who have views that they don't like to punish them for having views they don't like by terrorizing them and causing them to lose their jobs and all sorts of other stuff, right? But and there was some discussion talking about having to be silent and stuff. Yeah, as I was saying in the chat, I can't I can't talk about any of this kind of stuff on the job. I can't talk about any of this stuff with the people that I work with. There's a reason that I'm hiding behind, an avatar and not showing my face. Because if you were, if you were talking about this stuff and the wrong person in power, who had seniority or, had, a higher position than me, something in the university, heard it and decided that they didn't think that I should have my job, then they would make sure that I got poor reviews, make sure that there were disciplinary things that happened, whatever, and then make sure that I lost my job because I had an opinion that they believe should not be held
Now
by
you're
someone
worrying
working.
me. I hope it's okay that you're
No, I'm here of my own free will. I enjoy coming on and talking about this stuff.
No, but now the way you presented it, I hope
No, I mean,
it's good that we only have 3 viewers. It's good that we only have 3 viewers.
No. The truth is that I am at a relatively moderate school in a pretty moderate department and school, college within the university. So it's fine. I'm not worried about it, because as far as I'm concerned, absolutely nothing that I am doing here is connected to my job. I'm not presenting myself as, I am this person who teaches
you're just some random robot talking in the middle of the night.
What I'm saying is I'm not representing my employer in anything that I'm saying, right?
Obviously.
I'm representing it. These are my personal opinions and, free speech and, First Amendment and all of the, academic freedom, all of that stuff. I'm not spouting these opinions in the classroom. I'm not telling students in the classroom what I'm supposed to, or what they're supposed to think about this, that, and the other. I don't talk about any of that stuff. As someone else was saying, Shadow Piglet was saying in the chat, like, you know who the conservatives are because they don't talk politics. And it's true, right? You know who the people are because the in academia, the people who who sit there and spout off about Trump and DEI and all adding all of these things and how racist everyone is, like because there's so many leftists there and they have the power in the university, in academia, that they're perfectly okay to go out there and spout all of that stuff because they know they're not going to get in trouble for it. The people who were quiet about that stuff say, I don't talk about that stuff at work. Whatever, you can almost immediately know that, that's someone who's conservative about something. I had somebody that quite literally, they were coming in and it was right after Trump was reelected, and they came in and they were saying I'm so worried about all of these people who are their lives are going to be turned upside down because Trump has been elected and because he's going to come in and I mean, she spouted some of the wildest things, like he was going to arrest all of the Transformers, and he was going to outlaw gay marriage, and he was going to do like all of these things. And I said, do you really think all that stuff's going to happen? I mean, with our system of government and the other people who are there, that just him being elected president, he's going to be able to come in and like a dictator and actually change all those things? You don't think there's going to be any kind of, pushback from anybody? And she sort of thought about it for a minute, and she's, well, I'm just so scared for these people. And just went back to saying the same things over again. And I'm like, you're not even thinking critically about this. You're letting all of this crazy just go right in. And you're just accepting it all as truth. You're not questioning it at all. I didn't say any of that to her. Just, I said this stuff and I said, this is, I said, I try not to worry too much about it. I think we have a system that's pretty robust. It's going to keep the craziest things from happening, whatever. Guess who never came and talked to me about politics again? Even though I said absolutely nothing that was out of, that was either particularly conservative or anything, but I didn't agree with her that Donald Trump was going to destroy America in the next 6 months after he was elected, and he wasn't going to put all of the Transformers in jail. I didn't agree with what she said. I pushed back on it just slightly, saying, you don't think that there's people out there who would make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen? Like, moderate this stuff a little bit. And yeah, never, but she was on her way out. She was leaving for another position. But that was almost 6 months later. She never stopped to talk to me in my office again.
I understand.
I'm like, it's fine.
It's so weird
because I wouldn't just repeat back to her what she wanted to hear and go with her on this crazy train, right?
That's happened to me a bunch of times. I prefer not to talk to people about politics in general because I'm just tired. I don't have anything to say. And I've told you before, like, it's not even that I really do, for a long time, always consider myself more of a middle of the road kind of guy. Although these days it's hard to be that. But anytime, that I've pushed back against some weird thing, or sometimes I said something, I told you that there was some meal with, like, family, friends and things like that a number of years ago already, like 3-4 years ago, I think it was, maybe something like that. And I talked about something, and somebody got so offended about something that I said, which was like the most, if they watched The Night Owl, they'd be like running for the hills. You know what I mean? Like, it was the most like vanilla thing that I ever said. I just said something, you know what I think it was? The Rittenhouse trial. I think that I said that the prosecutor, regardless of how you feel about the topic, just on a professional level, didn't do a good job with the prosecution. He did a very poor job making his case, which I think is like the most vanilla thing you could say because the guy lost. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, I don't care who you voted for. It's not, I just said the guy wasn't, a very good prosecutor. That's all I said. It was like the most vanilla thing. And one person got up from the table and left the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, like, I can't say anything around here. And then there was something else that I said about, like, casting or it was some movie maybe that somebody brought up, that they did some kind of swapping or something ridiculous, or that it was like a period piece, but they made it like woke. I don't know what it was. And I said something. And then again, like, I saw like a few people looking at me. It's like, man, also it's like, it's a point where you can't say anything. Like, if you don't say exactly what some, like, somebody programmed that you're supposed to say, if you say anything, and trust me when I tell you, my comments were very vanilla. I wasn't even doing the rants that I do here. You know what I mean? It's not like when I give you a headache, when I saw this weird shit. It was like the most like vanilla things ever. You have like people leaving and stuff, So that just gives me a feeling that maybe that's why I just kind of keep to myself.
Yeah.
Let me see for a second. I sent Ian, the Mega Geek, and Ista. I sent them DMs before, but I didn't.
No, that's all right.
Didn't see them, but it's okay. They could be busy doing other things.
Let's see. What else do we have to talk about, man? We talked about Stargate. We talked that to death. Yeah. Here's my final word on Stargate. I don't think there's a chance in hell that they reverse course and reinitiate the Martin Gero show. 2 reasons. One, the new guy that came in and canceled this, he wants to make his name by making his own show with his own people, and probably already has people lined up who he wants to be in charge of his Stargate show. So that's reason one. He's not going to, he's not going to go back on this and go back to the Gero show because he's got his own people that he wants to bring in, just like he was brought in by someone else. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, saving face. He does not want to be seen as having had to change his mind, be forced by fans, forced by anybody to go back on a decision that he's made. Not especially when he's brand new in the job at Amazon. He's only been there for a few months. So I do not think there's a chance in hell the Gero show comes back. Doesn't matter how many planes they fly over Amazon headquarters. Doesn't matter how many other people they do. I don't think that that the executives that made this decision are going to be willing to change their minds. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but I'm telling you, these are the attitudes. These are the reasons for the way these people operate in Hollywood now, and especially somewhere like Amazon. So yeah.
Anyway, don't they?
Well, we have Ian, the Mega Geek, and we have it's the Phobos here, so that's nice. They dropped in here, and I wanted to ask you if you guys happened to catch some of this stream. If we were in the court of public opinion, did I make any kind of argument as to why I think Gero is a problem? Did anybody understand why? I want people to tell me if I'm crazy, because I don't know if I'm like a tinfoil guy or this is what I think it is. You know what I'm saying?
If I were Martin Gero, I would file a restraining order against you, but you made your argument well. But
they don't understand that, though.
Again,
they don't understand
but
the argument, do they?
Hey, listen, I was 100% on board with you with the Gero thing. I think Quantum Leap is one of the worst, most disgusting. Like, I would rather watch Starfleet Academy than the Quantum Leap reboot. And the only thing I know, Joe Malazzi and Martin Wood, and they are not going to be involved forward, but he said he saw the show Bible and he said it was very good. He was impressed. And then I still don't know if I believed him, but somebody else mentioned, well, this is the only chance you're going to have any of the old guard working on this. They're going to make it. If it's not these guys, it's going to be worse guys. And I'm like, I remained cautiously pessimistic, but I wanted to kind of see what they got, because whatever it turns out, it's not going to be better than this. So that was kind of my take on it.
The still that I saw of the guy in the skirt, that kind of just said to me, don't watch this show. Because that was the new Quantum Leap, wasn't it? So I don't want to watch it. Why would I watch it?
I didn't see that still. What guy? What skirt? What the hell?
There's a black guy. There's a black guy in the new Quantum Leap, and he's part of the team.
Okay. No. He's not black, but he is a neutral gender.
Gotcha.
Wait, they had stills from Stargate?
Not Stargate, Quantum Leap.
No. Basically, Quantum Leap had a gender liquid person on the show. Is it gender liquid? Is that a thing?
Fluid.
Gender fluid.
Whatever. Yeah.
I think gender liquid is better.
Listen,
lots of gender fluids.
Listen, no offense to Mega Geek, but the United States is 13% population by African and by Black, and they are represented almost 50% of the time in media. So you know what? We already suffer from too much diversity.
It's look. If you're bad, okay, right? This is basic level. If you're bad, if you're a bad person, you would do everything in your power so that the other side of good, right, that want to put their points forward, you do everything in your power to stop them, okay, by any kind of means, even killing someone, right? I don't understand how people can't see that these crazy people, they're willing to kill, and they have killed in the past, to uphold something that is completely and utterly wrong.
It's an illusion. Well,
people could not see that. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Can I say this? I'm going to price. I'm not going to say I'm going to vet it. There was an event that was scheduled to happen around the same time as the UFC event. It was a very bad event. And it was stopped by the FBI. Is that something we can't really or shouldn't talk about?
I don't really know, unless you can find really creative ways to dance around it. Although I'm not even sure what you're talking about. But
so a group of very left people were planning an extracurricular event at the same time as the 250th celebration, where they had the UFC fights. Not only that, but their event that they had planned would have been very dramatic and
would have been kind of boomy and shooty.
Yes, very shooty. In fact, they designed almost a corridor where the people fleeing from the boomy would run right into the shooting gallery, and it would have not. I mean, we're talking hundreds, if not more, people would have had a very bad day just a couple of days ago, and the FBI caught it, stopped it. They've arrested several people. They're prosecuting them. That's like what Ian said. That's see, that's the problem. That's why we have laws, because you just can't decide who's evil and go take it into your own hands. That's not what we do here. That's not what civilization does. We have a process for discovering evil and remedying the situation. You don't take that into your own hands. That's not what a civilized country does.
This is the person you were referring to, Ian. It's a person who has gender liquids, and
I'm mixing up with Star Trek. Sorry.
So in any case, this gender liquid person used to walk around sometimes like in a top secret military base, never in any kind of uniform, just in cocktail dresses and things like that. That was part of the vibe of the show.
But the point I'm trying to make is that how can the left say you've got like extreme guy that's on the left, or woman, or whatever, or trans, whatever, and then you've got people that are just on the left who thinks it's right. But what I don't understand is how those people, how can they not see that something like this is inherently evil? Again, right? Not even talking about TV shows or anything like that. The actual. Hold on, Esther. Come on. Let me speak.
I had an answer. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to finish, right? So basically, how could they not see the core of what these people are selling isn't evil? I don't understand. Just by the facts alone, that's what's happening, where people are being stifled from actually giving their own opinions, from people getting killed. Right, from attempts, from assassination attempts. How could you? The evidence is all around you.
Okay, can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Because they have convinced truly and sincerely that the objects of those assassinations are very much 1940s Germany enthusiasts. They absolutely believe that the guys they are going after are mustache men. And if you truly believe that, wouldn't you feel kind of responsible to take matters into your own hands? That they honestly believe that Trump is a Mo from Three Stooges mustache enthusiast. They honestly believe that. They believe that he has camps and he's arrested people and he's turning them into liquid and all other kind of things.
Okay, well, what about when Charlie Kirk got shot? All these people that are coming out saying that he deserved it and all that nonsense. What about that then? What about that?
They believe he is also on the same team as Trump.
Yeah, but nobody deserves to get killed like that. Nobody deserves to die for having their own opinions.
Well,
that's just common sense.
This conversation is taking a strange dark turn, isn't it?
But if you've convinced someone that that certain people are in fact just as bad as the mustache men, and those who marched along them with goose steps and so on. If you go back to the old question, would you kill baby mustache man before he had a mustache?
No.
Then the question is, well, why wouldn't you take the opportunity to kill a mustache man now?
Killing is wrong.
That's why I brought up, if you really think somebody is mustache man, then take them to court. Let the systems we have in place deal with them.
This is a very interesting conversation. I love the direction it's going.
Wait, can I say on Pink Floyd The Wall, that British choir that they got to sing The Wall, they didn't get paid a cent.
They didn't get anything, Waters right.
Is notoriously cheap. But when Claire Torrey got her money for actual recognition for writing the melody of that song, because that's what she did, she wasn't just a singer for hire, and they only paid her 30 quid, for God's sake. But she wrote that melody. So she got credit in 2004, and that's, I guess, when the British, I don't know if the school got paid or each of the little castrati's and the choir got, I don't know, but somebody got some money finally. So
yeah. Hey, I am on the backing track for an album. I've never been paid a cent.
Which album is that?
Floyd was.
It was.
Are you really on the backing track of an album?
Yes, actually, I was at a very small. It was a sort of like a small concert, like a cafe kind of concert
because I don't want to out you. But
no. But I was at like a small concert, and they were recording some background vocals. Or basically, it's like a choir thing, but it's supposed to sound like the audience singing along with them in the track. And my wife and I both are in that audience. They recorded us over and over for about half an hour, and they used a whole bunch of those, kind of layered them over each other to make it sound like a really big. Like a whole stadium of people singing.
That's different.
Two questions. Yeah. Did you marry your childhood sweetheart? That's awesome. And two, can you tell us what song it is?
I did marry my childhood sweetheart.
That's I love that. I love stories like that.
Started dating when we were 15.
The song will remain a secret.
We just had our 26th anniversary, by the way. So, yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and we dated for 5 years to the day before we got married. So.
But listen, this woman here, right? She got paid, what is it, 30 quid? Did you say?
Claire Torrey for Great Gig in the Sky, yeah.
Yeah, she got paid 30 pounds. But in those days, that's what it was like. I mean, I know a friend that sang, the John Williams what is it, the prequels, the fight that they have with the lightsabers, what's his name, Darth Maul, that music that was going. I had a friend that did back in singing that thing in that song, and she got what, I don't know, she got paid 100 quid, 200 quid, 300 quid.
But Ian, she wrote the song and never got credit for it. That's the problem. That's you.
That's terrible.
There are laws. That's different. Yeah,
right. But I just want to. I want to lift your spirits here for a second and show you. This is the guy that Ian was talking about, okay? His name is Ian, too. Are you ready? This is the guy from Quantum Leap that you mentioned. He's not black, but he is, like I said, he was liquid.
This doesn't look spirit lifty.
It's been really exciting to make contact with a bunch of people that otherwise hadn't been represented quite in that way on television before. And in a way that is kind of punk rock, and because it's so much more, I feel like, meaningful to represent marginalized people in the most normalized of contexts, because it is the Trojan horse. It is kind of the way to get people used to having these conversations in the day-to-day.
The Trojan horse?
Yeah, he's telling on himself.
Everybody meets trans and non-binary people all the time, and half the time they don't even know it.
So he's saying that it's good that they used that idea as a Trojan horse, which is within Quantum Leap.
Government-sponsored, establishment-sponsored punk rock. Yeah,
right. At the
right.
grocery store or at the bank or whatever. It's amazing how integrated we are in society now, but are still such a strange fringe, hot button topic that it doesn't deserve that kind of focus. And so to just let me breathe and exist and be present on the show and just act and support the story, I think is very radical and very cool.
Okay, can you stop it, please, for a second? Just stop.
Aren't you enjoying this, Ian?
No, let me explain. Right, in some parts he's right. Okay, that there should be representation of his, I don't know, it sounds rude, his kind, basically, yes, but not in that context, right? You can't have someone like that in a military operation or wherever the operation is like that. You can't, because there are rules. So if you want to introduce someone like this, do it properly. Don't write it in the way that it dominates or says fuck you to the rules of logic, or even the rules are on the planet, on Earth, and the moral aspects of it as well. That's what I'm saying. They're doing it wrong. And why are they doing it wrong? Because what they want to do is they want to divide and conquer these people.
Yeah. He says,
especially Hollywood, that's exactly what they want to do, and that's their MO. So bearing that in mind, right, filmmakers in Hollywood should take that into consideration and should write accordingly, but they're not doing that.
Yeah, well, he's contradicting himself. You're like 0.8% real trans people, very, very much a statistical outlier. So you cannot possibly be everywhere. And you're right, it's not such a big deal. So we don't expect to see you everywhere because there just aren't really that many of you. And
well, that's the one thing that I'll say, that I feel like over the past maybe 5 years or so, or 6 years or whatever it is, the amount that we've heard about this community versus how many people there are in real life that even exist is disproportionate. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Absolutely.
there could be a show, there could be somebody like that or whatever it is, if it's just kind of an afterthought and just do whatever. But the fact that it becomes like a lecture and something that every show has to focus on and lecture you about every 2 seconds, and like this guy's saying, and I think that it's sort of a Freudian slip that he considered himself a Trojan horse.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
he's
He said
telling
it.
on
I
himself.
didn't say it. See, Trojan horse, I don't even feel good. I didn't say it myself. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel good about saying that because I'm like, maybe it's not nice to say that, but he's saying it. It's not my words, it's his words.
Yeah, I wanted to finish answering Ian's question in short, because those people are crazy and the other people that support them are brainwashed. It's really that simple.
Yeah, okay, right. You're right, okay. But there's got to be someone in that group that has common sense. I do not believe.
Yeah, there are people that know, but they're not going to speak out because either they're afraid or it would cause them to lose their power. These people get tremendous financial support, and they get power by supporting this sort of crazy radical side. And if they actually exercise their common sense or even acknowledged reality, they would lose everything they had.
I have to say something very important. Mega Geek, I was trying to increase the volume of your mic on my end, and I think that I've muted you. Can you speak for a second? If I've muted you, go click the button that does unmute.
Oh, you have.
Sorry. I was trying to raise the volume because I couldn't hear you as well as I wanted to, and then I did the opposite. I pressed it and it muted. It's only the best technology here at the Night Owl.
We can hear you fine now.
We can hear you now.
All
so
right.
I just wanted to say, it wasn't that I wanted you to not talk, the opposite. I was trying to raise your volume, but every day I gradually learn some new technology here on the Night Owl, and we'll get it right next time.
And then they're going to kick you out of this version of Rumble Studio and make you use a different one.
The point I'm trying to make is that there is room for that side in entertainment, right? There is. You can have a trans person, you can have a gay person, but the way they're actually presenting it is absolutely 100% wrong. Okay,
right.
People that are in charge, all they want to do is divide and conquer, right? And as long as everybody knows that, there should be soon, or maybe even later, an uprising to actually put everybody in its place. It always happens in history when things are bad. People always stand up, and it will happen. It will.
I'm still waiting for it to happen in England.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen.
Ian, you have to understand, people that claim to want equality, they don't want equality. They want to be in charge. They want power. And the fact
that's what I'm saying.
The representation of this group, even in the 60s and 70s, was already larger and more proportional than they actually exist. I can name 30 movies a year that had drag queens in them. Like, they may not be the lead, but again, 0.3 to 0.8%. Like, the real, I'm not talking about the guy who just wants to go to women's prison. That's a different story. But of the real ones that actually suffer from GD, it's a statistical outlier, anomaly, and they were already overrepresented in media. But you have to understand, for the left, it's never enough for them.
Nope.
It's like Paula, once you give them an inch, they want 2 inches, then a foot, then a mile. It's just like what's happening in South Africa right now. They never wanted equality. They wanted to be the oppressors.
Well, now at this moment in time, films are flopping. Okay, and Hollywood is completely and utterly been taken over by this ideology. But hopefully, in the next 5 or 10 years, it will calm down because they're not making any money, right? And it's money that drives everything. So hopefully, it will calm down, and hopefully, people have common sense and will get stuff that is balanced. As I said, right, we shouldn't dismiss all this stuff, whether it be trans or gay or whatever, the LGB, whatever. They have the right to exist. Yes, I totally agree. Right. But right, they shouldn't dominate the media. People should stop them, because it's not a good thing to teach the young
no,
that
it's
this
not.
is the be all and end all. Respect, yes, but this is not the be all. You've got a choice. That's the thing.
Right. But nobody wants equal rights. They all want special treatment, and they won't stop until they get it. That's human nature. So you have to create an insistence.
They will be stopped.
I hope so.
But there's which brings me to our next topic, and it's good that you mentioned it, because this is exactly a good segue. Is that Fox bought Roku? Did you see that?
Oh yes, a brilliant move. Absolutely brilliant move.
I think it's brilliant, because the thing is that, like, they sold Disney all this crap, and then they went and they bought all this stuff with the money that Disney paid them, and I feel like they're only strengthening themselves with, like, Tubi and Roku. These are really big boss moves.
With a fraction of the money Disney paid them. That's what I'm saying. They just got their own streaming platform that already has an established viewer base of 100 million people, and they paid what, 22 billion, whereas they got 70 million for Fox, plus the Hulu thing. They got almost 85 billion dollars, and now they might be they have a chance to become a bigger streamer than Disney, and it only cost them 22 billion.
Right, Disney are stupid. They could have bought all these things and not bought Fox, and they probably would have been in a better position.
Oh, it would have cost them maybe 5 billion had they bought Roku at the time that they bought Fox.
And Tubi or whatever they bought.
Yeah, what do you think,
Do you know what's interesting? Okay, right. All these companies want to buy the streaming platforms. Okay, the power's not in the streaming platforms. The power is in buying cinemas. Well, I don't understand why they just don't buy cinemas, corner the market on cinemas, then make films. Then now they have a distribution.
Oh, we have laws
to put the films.
No, we have laws against that in the States.
That law's been
laxed.
That law's been laxed though in the years.
Yes, it has been.
They could do that because you're just competing when it comes to streaming. If you buy Roku, if you buy this, that, you're competing against the big ones, and you're never going to win. But what you will win, because they're completely ignoring it, is the theatrical release of movies. Right, and that's going to be their downfall because people love going to the cinema. If you make good films and you put it in the cinema, it will be competition for these streaming people, in my opinion.
No, it won't, because streaming companies are tech companies, and the entire movie industry in its biggest year ever doesn't make a fraction of what the gaming industry makes, doesn't make a fraction of what Netflix makes. The money is in tech, man. The money is in bringing.
The money's always in tech, yeah. But you've got independent filmmakers out there that are actually making leaps and bounds, like these two that's just come out. So you just got to look for them, and start slow and then build.
They don't make the money in the cinema. They make the money by owning the eyeballs, by stuffing advertisements down our throats.
You may be right, but it's worth a try, right?
Yeah. But look, gaming has been 10 times the size of the entire movie industry since its sort of early inception.
It won't be for much longer, but
that's self-inflicted.
But
that's the point. The entire movie industry just never was that big. But that being said, owning a cinema won't do you any good if you don't make something that people don't want to go see.
People want to go and see, you mean?
Yeah, I'm saying making good shit, good movies again.
If they could actually make good movies, then they might make some money in the theaters. But unfortunately, that seems to be beyond them. So
Well, that's what I'm saying. Though the thing is, there's got to be a radical think change in Hollywood. If they keep going the way they're going, everything's going to be dismissed. Everything's going to be destroyed. Cinema going, especially, it is. And someone needs to make a stand.
Yep, and we're seeing that happen very rapidly in the we don't need to get too far into it, but we're seeing that happen very rapidly in the gaming industry right now. It looks like probably by the end of the summer, probably August, September, Xbox will have shut down half of the studios that it bought over the last 10 years.
Yeah,
it will have laid off staff at all of the rest of them. They are in a free fall right now, and it looks like probably they have done so much damage to the Xbox brand and all of the different developers that they've bought up and stuffed under it, that they're probably going to sell off or spin off the Xbox brand into its own company, because it's dragging down down Microsoft.
Didn't they have a bloodbath just a couple of days ago?
In the last couple of days. Yes, they've had a whole bunch, and people are saying this is the canary in the coal mine, and they're not going to be the only ones. Sony is also going to have a massive collapse of a bunch of its studios soon. Remember, they bought up Bungie, and they've been doing disastrously. They decided to back this new marathon game that some people seem to like, but it is not getting the audience that Destiny got, Destiny 2. And they've even said, well, we're not making Destiny 2 anymore. It's done. It's over. And Destiny 2, even though it's over and Marathon is the future, Marathon is pulling in 1/10 of the audience that they're pulling in for a supposedly dead game that's still being played. Like they don't get it. It's a massive failure. Yeah. And the Hollywood studios are in the same exactly in the same boat, right? They have a bunch of these studios where they've decided they're going to insert all of this ideology, and they're going to require all this diversity, and they're going to put all this stuff in there. And then, but that's what's going to bring us success. No, it's not. It's not bringing success. Well, we have to keep doing it, because if we don't, then these people are going to be angry at us. So we have to keep doing it. And so now they're facing a reckoning. We have a summer box office that's going to be dominated by a couple of kids' movies and a couple of tiny, minuscule indie productions that made huge bucks and absolutely humiliated big studios, humiliated Star Wars. It's going to humiliate other stuff. Like this is going to be an absolute bloodbath of a summer for the big studios.
Yeah, Ian, let me give you some numbers. The entire worldwide movie industry generates 30 to 50 billion annually. It's been closer to 30. It was 50 billion in the high. Tencent, which is the biggest gaming company in the world, Chinese, that company alone generates 130 billion a year, and it's worth $4 trillion. Even with the gaming decline, Tencent, they do a lot of casual, all the worst kind of games, but I'm saying that's where gaming may be dying, but that's still where the money is if people are smart enough to go out and get it.
Well, it depends, I guess. It depends. If you want to, if you don't want cinema to go away, if I was in charge, if I had a business, I would take a punt in buying a few cinemas, starting small, making independent films so it's got somewhere to go, and start from there. Because I do believe that people like going to the cinema, and a lot of people don't go because, again, it's easier for them to sit at home to watch the films. But if you had a film and it wasn't on streaming and it was in the cinema and it was going to be there for like 6 months, and maybe you had no choice but to see it in the cinema, if the film is good and everybody's talking about it. I think that is the power there, right there. But nobody's going to try it, as Ista says, because the money is not there, I guess. I don't know.
Independent art house cinemas, we have one in Atlanta. We had one in Texas that played a few different movies every night. That's how I was able to go back and see movies from the 30s, like in the cinema. individually, some of those do very well because they do indie movies. They do stuff that's not on streaming. It's how I saw The Gods Must Be Crazy way back in, I don't know, 82, 83
I like that
or
film.
something.
That film was fun.
So we had this art house cinema, and we went sometimes 3-4 times a week. And then the one in Texas I worked at, and so I got to see a ton of movies from free, all the way back to like Battleship Potemkin, and I got to see Casablanca, and I got to see all the old Bogart movies in the cinema. It was amazing. And then everything through the 60s and 70s, and then we replayed Star Wars during the 90s, the original print, stuff like that. So if I was going to business, I would do a cinema like that, not one of these big multiplexes. Although, I don't know, maybe if you own an IMAX, there's some money in that. But
somebody has rated us.
Yeah, we got a raid from Late Night with Adonis Paul. So thank you.
Thank you.
Adonis Paul.
What does that mean when somebody rates you?
They finish with their stream, and so they send their audience over to your stream.
Yeah, they redirect.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I noticed Third Railify, where we've rated them.
They've rated us back a few times now. Yeah.
Yeah, they are sometimes they'll go for 8 hours. Sometimes it's only 2. It's they're very flexible. So you never know when they're gonna end.
Well, thank you to Adonis, though. It's very nice of you.
Yes, thank you. I don't want the cinema to go away, but my worry is that, we need more good movies. We need to we need more entertainment. We need more good storytelling. We need to take the agenda out of this shit. And Hollywood has been very, very stubborn about this.
I think we need to take risks. That's what we need to do. That's the thing. If they didn't take risks, we would never have got anything.
Hollywood has become massively risk averse, and that has become part and parcel with this consistent move towards these gigantic budgets, banking on huge box office numbers. So they're like, well, the next movie, it needs to make $1 billion. The next movie needs to make $1 billion. No, it doesn't. Make your next movie for $3 million. Make your next movie for $14 million. And then it doesn't have to make $1 billion. It doesn't have to make $1.5 billion. It doesn't have to make $2 billion like Doomsday later this year will have to make in order to be profitable.
Avatars.
Or an Avatar movie, whatever. It doesn't have to be this outrageous, monstrous hit. It can appeal to the audience that it appeals to. It can be popular. It can be something that culturally picks up and people take and share with others, like we have had with the Obsession film, right? Like start making these smaller movies. Put the money, instead of making a $200 million movie, make $10, $20 million movies.
Yeah.
And be happy when a movie brings in $200 million and half of that is pure profit. Right? Instead of having to make these movies that are outrageously expensive.
You say why they won't do it, right? It's because of all the exec producers. There is a system.
They all get their cut.
I'm saying that they can't avoid, especially the people that are in power now, and that's the reason why.
But that's not,
make low budget movies.
You say they're risk averse, except they're retarded risk averse because they do things that almost guarantee failure consistently every time. They're not really risk averse. They are faux risk averse, which is why we get the sequels, the prequels, the interquels, the reboot, the reimaginings that all fail. Because if they were truly risk averse, they would demand that agenda bullshit be removed immediately. They take real risks that have a very low percentage of success, and they won't take the genuine risks like, the first Star Wars movie. So,
well, when I say they're risk averse, what I'm saying specifically in that case is that they've made this movie that now costs $200 million. Now it's got to make $400, $500, $600 million after marketing in order for it to be a success, or they make this movie for $300, $400 million. Now it's got to make $1 billion for it to actually be able to pay its money back. So when they make the film, now they can't just be okay with, well, it'll be popular with this audience, it'll be popular with that audience. They all have to be these perfect 4-quadrant films, which means that now they have to go over them with a fine-tooth comb, and every little thing has to be audience tested. It has to be focus group tested. We've got to get this in there, and we got to get that in there, and we have to get this thing. We got to have the diversity, and we got to have, and that is ruining these films.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well,
Speaking of ruining films, I just want to say that if you're watching on Rumble and haven't yet followed this channel, you should do that right now. If you're watching through the app and haven't signed up, you should sign up right now because it's good for free speech. And in addition to that, if you're on any other platform like YouTube, you may have gotten here from another channel, another social media, or another channel of mine. And you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, so you should absolutely subscribe. I highly recommend it. I'm not objective, I know, but whoever is watching this stream should subscribe right now. And now go on, say whatever you wanted to say.
Oh, well, Price, that reminds me of a question for you. Have you considered, I do like Rumble. I appreciate their free speech. But, as long as you're simul streaming, we don't really have it here. Have you thought about doing maybe a half hour at the end of the stream as a Rumble exclusive where we can talk about all the things that we can't talk about when we're streaming on YouTube?
I thought of it, but it becomes a bit tricky because I think it may turn the whole stream then into like a premium stream. So then if people want to see the replay, I'm not 100% sure. That's why, just so you know, and it's good that I'm so happy you mentioned this, Ista, that sometimes I sit around and I just do exclusive Rumble streams. And that's something that I hope people that are following, and some of them, they're like premium subscribers, they hang out with me when I do that. Just the other day, maybe it was like a week and a half ago, I did something where I went over, 250 albums that are considered like amazing, that Rolling Stones things are like the best albums. And I had this whole, stream about music, which I think people seem to enjoy. So we do stuff like that here with like exclusive streams, but turning this one into semi-exclusive, I don't want to exclude people. That's why I don't do it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, but they could just go. It's not like people can't just switch over to Rumble at the end.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that if I, as far as I understand, if I do this to the stream here on Rumble, what'll happen is that I think the whole stream will become like a premium stream.
Oh, okay.
And then if people really want to do the replay, they won't be able to. And I'm an inclusive guy. I believe in inclusion. I'm an inclusive guy. I want the more people watching this stream, the better. I want to include them all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't realize. I don't know how that works on the back end. But so how do we know when you're doing these surprise Rumble streams? Because I never get notified.
It's usually
a surprise.
It's a surprise. Yeah, it's usually at a very random time, and nobody knows about it. But I'll try to be more
inclusive.
Yeah.
Just send out a tweet. I follow you on Twitter. You should all follow Price of Reason on Twitter. If you tweet a little bit ahead of time, then everybody will know that a stream's
I will try to be better. I'm going to try to do better.
Do better.
Do better.
Senator.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
I need that clip in my soundboard.
Yeah.
You gotta do better, Senator.
I feel bad because Anthony Mackie, until that series, was a very well-liked guy, and nothing good happened to Anthony Mackie from that moment.
Nope.
Yeah, I've gone back and watched all the Marvel movies. He was so cool in the beginning when he was Falcon. He was so cool in Winter Soldier. He was so cool in Civil War. And then he stopped being so cool. I hated it.
I saw the first time that he appeared, I think, in Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Yep.
So the first time he appeared,
he was
I was with somebody that I watched the movie and we walked out. That person told me, and this is before me doing anything online, saying, "Wow, like the guy they chose to play like Falcon, he's so likable." The man was getting compliments on the way out of the theater. Like everybody liked him in that movie.
Yeah, he was like, "I just met you, Cap, but I'm ride or die. Let's do this." Like,
yeah, and then his little silly like bit in Ant-Man, where he gets beat up, and he's like, "Don't tell Cap about this." You know, so, like I mean, he was really likable. Yeah, it wasn't until they decided that he was now going to be a mouthpiece for ideology, and he was going to be a mouthpiece for here's how we're going to talk about. We're going to bring up racism every time you're on screen. Like that was how they, that was when everything just went downhill.
But in these actors' defense, and I also know how they are by working with actors, is that they really can't see the script fully. They what they do is they come in, they learn their lines, they know where their marks are, and that's it really. But to take in a whole script in their heads, most actors not very capable of doing it unless they're writers themselves. So with Mackie, he came in, they gave him a decent script with Captain America and stuff. Then when they tried to push him into this section where he's meant to be representing people, right? He couldn't see it. And then
they didn't even have a script, and he was bitching about that.
And then when he made it and he looks back at it, I reckon he regrets it. When he looks back at the last film he made with the Red Hulk and he looks at that, he'll know it's shit. Do you know what I mean? But then what can you do when you're in that position?
There's nothing. There's nothing you can do. And I'll tell you this: there were a few times that I saw him that he seemed based in interviews. That he was like saying like things that I actually agreed with. I feel like Anthony Mackie really got the short end of the stick. But I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry, go on, Ian.
No, saying. No, I finished. Go ahead.
Yeah, he warned us. He said, "I'm halfway through and we still don't have a script. What's going on here? This is messed up." But then he made that comment about America, and then he, most of his interviews, he is incredibly based and cool. But it's like they got to him, or like I do think they twisted his words with the whole Captain America. I think people were being a little disingenuous about that. They twisted his word. I get what he was trying to say. It didn't come out right, but he got really slammed for that. I'm not sure that was fair.
I think that bothered people more than it bothered me. I actually think that Anthony Mackie, I don't know why I think this. He seems like an okay guy, and he seems relatively based compared to some of these other actors in some interviews I've seen him over the years. I don't think that this was his dream. Maybe he was happy that they said you're going to be Captain America, but the thing is that had he realized that they were using him in a way, and this is what I said from day one, that they were using the guy. It's not just that they said he'll be Captain America. It's like they made a series of on Disney Plus explaining that in order to become Captain America, he has to deal with a lot of histophobia against him. And not only that, they want to remind you that historically there's always so much histophobia. But the only problem is that Anthony Mackie, as Falcon, you know what I mean? If he was Falcon and he was an Avenger and they just, saved the universe or whatever it is, he's not having trouble going to the bank.
No.
He's not having trouble fixing a shrimp boat. It's enough that he could probably call somebody in like the State Department and say, "Hey, my sister has a shrimp boat with a hole in it." I'm telling you that for this guy that just saved the universe, they're probably just giving them a new boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, we have this thing. Do you want, how about this?"
He calls Stark up, even though Tony's gone. Everyone else is still there. It's like, "Hey, redheaded goop woman, I need a boat." I did want to tell you
some
this real quick.
pussy candles in a boat, and she'd send them all.
The way I'm looking at, I have your thumbnail on, and I've been staring at that picture of Martin Gero for 30 minutes. It's really disturbing. Like, he is not based. I can tell.
You could tell that he's a fart. You could tell. I could just look at it.
Look, that photo, the more I look at it, the more I realize that he probably is the kind of guy that needs to tell everyone when he moves in their neighborhood.
I don't trust the man at all. That's all I can say. Allegedly. I don't trust the man at all.
It's a shame.
Oh, what did you think?
Shame.
That Rolling Stone list was bullshit, by the way, man. They do that with the top 100 guitarists all the time.
The truth is their lists are the worst, and sometimes they just open up their list and I just get upset. Like, you just see me. I think people enjoy just watching me react to their stupid lists.
But you
my
know what
God,
it
yeah.
is, though, with things like that? It is that the more professional they are, the more you can't trust them. That this is the feeling that everybody has, but subconsciously. Like, for instance, okay, if you watch something like anything on YouTube and it's very professionally done, you question it, don't you? Subconsciously, you question what they're like. If they give you a list of the worst Doctor Who or the worst franchise that's been destroyed, you question it. It's only the people that come across as authentic that you kind of connect with, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah,
And that's the problem,
absolutely.
isn't it? Right across the board. Yeah. Right across the board.
Yeah.
Did
he fade out? Where did he go?
It sounded
I'm
like he
here.
did fade out.
Oh.
I'm looking. I came across this picture of Millie Alcock where she looked really good. I'm looking for the picture now. I was going to put it in my avatar. I'm like, yeah, why can't we have this? Why can't we have this woman as Supergirl? There's just just one picture and she looked real good. Oh, because
you wish it.
Yeah, we can't have nice things. Also, like, did you see Michael? Yeah, everybody saw Michael.
I did, yes.
Yeah, I saw Michael.
I have not seen it yet. I'm hoping to see it soon.
Okay, so you know
it's on streaming now.
Yeah,
so you can watch it on that.
Well, you have to pay
man,
for it. But
I
yeah.
really enjoy that movie. I've watched it a couple times. You know the actress that played Susan DePass, the woman from Motown that discovers the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
She also played what's his name, the little twink Superman guy, Tom Holland's girlfriend in the first Spider-Man Homecoming. Her name's Laura Harrier.
Who played Liz in because Liz is in the comics. Yeah.
Yes. She played Liz, and then she played Susan DePass. I'm like, she could be Helena Troy. Like, I believe at least 500 ships, maybe 1,000. I'd buy that, man. She's kind of gorgeous. Like,
but you see, Esther, right? They're going for if they're going to do someone ethnic, they go right to ethnic. You know what I mean? She has to be blacker than black. You know, she has to be as black as the ace of spades. You know what I mean? And that's what they're going for. This is what's wrong. We're talking about beauty here, right? We're not talking about the color of the person's skin. All right. If you want to make that character an ethnic person, then go for someone that's really, really beautiful, because that's the whole point of the character. But they don't want to do that, do they? Because they want to be objectified, a woman. They don't want that. This is what's wrong, completely wrong with what's happening in Hollywood. We can't have beauty. We can't have entertainment. We've got to be lectured all the time, even in films like The Odyssey. This is madness. And I wouldn't be surprised if Odyssey flopped big time. For Chris Nolan. We'll see, right?
I would love to see, people voting with their wallets. I would love that.
We'll see.
I would also love if it ends up being good, but I don't think it can be good because what he's already done, what his sources are, his thought process. This isn't the Odyssey. This is going to be how Penelope was done wrong by a bunch of patriarchal evil men.
Esther, I get the feeling that when these two drag us on this stream, this is a time where they just fall asleep. They put their arms on the desk.
No. Listen, you're funny. The thing is, no, it's not that we fall asleep. It's just that I feel like, I'll tell you the truth. I feel like I probably give Professor a headache, and I'm ranting about all this stuff. And I feel like maybe Professor, just for his sanity, if I bring a few other people here to talk about something else, maybe it won't be as annoying as me just like.
He just wants
ranting.
Somebody else to rant at for a while.
Okay. For a while, yeah, because I feel like maybe
it's your man.
Yeah, I just put Helena Troy on screen. A head case like this. So.
I mean, I do like Sydney Sweeney, but I don't think she's I don't think she's devastatingly beautiful. Do you know what I mean? I think she's all right looking.
She's fun. I think that with Sydney Sweeney, I think that her vibe is good. You know what I mean?
Yes,
she seems like fun. And anytime she's in an interview or she's talking or she's anything, she brings this kind of fun vibe. And I think that men like that. She seems like a lady that if you went on a date with, it would be fun to hang out with her. Whereas like a lot of times you see these other ladies, even a lot of the Hollywood ones, and you kind of know that if you went out on a date with them, you'd be miserable. They're no fun at all. You know what I mean?
But look at that toga. That's launching 1,000 ships like in the hour.
But that's the thing, though. I think the person I would cast when she was in her prime is Charlize Theron, because
yeah,
she is beautiful. I mean, she's tall. She's got legs that go on forever. She's got a beautiful face. She has a great figure. She just looks like if she stands there, 1,000 ships would stop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the person you would cast, right?
I agree. I think she's one of the most beautiful women that's ever been in Hollywood. Angelina Jolie too. Grace Kelly. We used to have beauties way back in the day.
But you can't cast those women in movies anymore because the feminists will get angry because you're appealing to the male gaze. You can't have an attractive woman on screen. It's totally okay if you have a man who's completely ripped and he's destroyed his body with roids to be, completely, the perfect specimen. Have him naked on screen, totally fine. But having a woman who's attractive not allowed. Can't do it.
I thought they liked male gaze now. Aren't gays?
Oh, they like
the male gaze a lot,
sometimes, yeah. But you can't have that. No, every woman needs to be blocky and flat and look like a teenage boy. That's the only feminist approved version of actresses that are allowed.
Oh, and Phobos is gone.
It's quite irritating.
What I wanted to say was that I still will say this. Okay, they keep showing the same photo of like Lupita from that 12 Years a Slave thing where like it's a scene that somebody beat her up. She looks especially bad. I think she looks fine. I mean, you could argue that maybe there wouldn't be 1,000 ships or whatever, but I don't think she's ugly. I don't dislike her. It's just that she wouldn't be in this movie because it's just not the right casting for whatever this is supposed to be. So regardless of anything, I just don't think it's good casting. And the other thing is, I think if nothing else, she's cute. I don't hate her. I really, before that, if there was a movie and she was in it, I really had nothing against her. I kind of feel bad for her.
I thought she was really good in Black Panther, but it's been over 10 years now. She, all of the women that are supposed to be young looking, at least like the nymph, he cast very, aged actresses as.
I get the feeling that you guys, when people say things like that, I don't think she's ugly. I don't think it's this, whatever. I think they're trying to save face. Sorry, Price. I think you're trying to save face. It's bollocks. Basically, she is not right for the role. She's
no. I agree. She is absolutely not right for the role. I say that 100% because I think that if you're being accurate, if you're going for that period of time with Greek or whatever it is, she shouldn't be cast no matter what. But I'm saying that I'll tell you this personally, and this is just my own personal preference.
I'm going to forget my train of thought because you interrupted me. But that's fine.
Sorry,
carry on.
Okay, good. No.
That, every time I hear someone say something like that, I think she's cute. Right? It's bollocks. Basically, you're trying to save face. The truth is, she's not right for the role. She's not even half as good looking as, say, someone like Halle Berry. She isn't.
Yeah,
right?
No, she's not.
She is not right for the role, and we should all be truthful about this, right?
Well,
we're not under Hollywood. They can't fire us because we're not hired by them. So I'm going to be truthful. She is not right for the role. She's not good looking, in my opinion. Right? She shouldn't even be there. That's it. Full stop. Just like the Doctor shouldn't be black, and Commissioner Gordon shouldn't be black. All these people are afraid to say it. For reasons that we can understand, right? But we should all come out and say what's on our mind. Do you know?
Well, you can say some of the things that we really aren't comfortable
that's
saying.
Not true. You could say it as well.
Well, I've said she wasn't right for the role. I said Helena Troy shouldn't be black. I've already said that. She is an Achaean Greek, or what is it, Myrmidonian, Myconian, she's Greek, and that's not
Macedonian.
Yeah, Macedonia. Thank you, brain fart there. But I'm not going to belabor that, and honestly, you may have stronger feelings about the Doctor being black than I do. I would have been okay with giving Idris Elba a shot in his day, or Denzel.
I would have been okay with Idris Elba as well. And again, I will also say this: sometimes you have roles where you could have done a swap or whatever. I watched The Equalizer. The Equalizer was originally like Edward Woodward, who's a white British guy, but I like what Denzel Washington did in the role, and I thought the movies were good. I don't always have to have it exactly the way, it was. If there's a good enough interpretation, or if there's something good, or if you brought a good actor to do it. But in the case of The Doctor, they didn't bring Idris Elba. They brought a guy that was there to peddle some agenda,
Yeah. And the thing is, when they do something for virtue signaling, they never pick the best guy. I would be happy with Denzel doing any role, even fucking Helena Troy, for God's sake. The man is a legend. But they don't go and if Helena Troy wants to be black, like I said, why not Laura Harrier? But they don't pick, when they virtue signal, they seem to make a point to pick somebody that is going to be contentious on purpose.
Do you know what I want? I want Robert De Niro to play Shaft one day. That would be great, right? So if it's wrong to do that, then let me tell you something. As a man of color, it's wrong to do it the other way as well.
Yeah. Well, Ryan Gosling is Shaka Zulu. That's the big one people are memeing, right?
They need to recast Ryan Gosling for Black Panther. I think
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it can't be right. It can't be right. What you guys are saying, it can't be right because it goes against everything that's fair.
Phantom Outsider said Queen Latifah is the Equalizer. No, I never bought her as the Equalizer. I think that's embarrassing.
Huge hit though.
It wasn't it. I don't know why. It's an awful show. But I wanted to quickly say, Ian, listen, you have your own perspective on it, and maybe it's also easier for you. I try to kind of think about it and try to also, I want to come from a good place, and I don't want to just be a guy that complains or whatever, but I also respect your opinion and the fact that you are, I don't know if people call it diverse or whatever it is, and you have your opinions the way you have them. I respect that as well. I mean, you're coming from a different perspective, and maybe in your eyes, it seems even more annoying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It makes sense because you don't want people's hand-me-downs. You want your own original characters. That makes sense.
It's not that, right? We complain about, just now we complain about the Odyssey and stuff like that. Again, if you can't have it, if it's not two sides of a coin, it's wrong. If you can't cast a white guy as Shaft, if you can't cast, do you know what I mean? You guys are saying that it's okay that what's his name plays Robert McCall in The Equalizer. It may be so, and it was a huge success, but I still think it's wrong because inherently the character was white, and if you went the other way, then people will be up in arms about it. So that's what I'm saying. It's wrong because you can't have there's only one side of the coin. Every time there's only one side of the coin, it's always wrong. Always.
Yeah, and with Doctor Who, that's very distinctly British. So I try to temper my opinions. Like I'll accept that the Doctor should be British, and
it should be white as well.
Well, I think if there's nothing inherently racialized about the character, then it's a. So
no, it can't be okay because then as I said, right? Why can't we have a white Shaft?
Well, we could. He just wouldn't be nearly as cool as the real Shaft.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Well, you can't have one, or you can't just go, that's okay and this isn't. I'm sorry, right? You either have it one way that is equal for everybody. Do you know what I mean? Now we're being discriminating against white people.
Shaft is a character that is inherently black. It's from the culture. It's
the same thing with the Equalizer. The same thing with. Do you know what I mean? These things.
I'm not so sure that he is inherently white. He's just an old British Secret Service guy,
and he's white. Come on, you can't just dismiss that fact. You can't dismiss that fact. You guys are, in my opinion, wrong. You can't have one and you can't have the other. Do you know what I mean? You got to have it. But look, you guys complained in the last Thor film when he was naked in front of all those people. Do you remember that scene where he was standing there? Everybody complained about that. Yet you won't complain about Equalizer being black, or Commissioner Gordon being black, or Perry White being black. Come on, you can't have one without the other. Do you know what I mean? It's inherently wrong.
Well, I know it's really bad.
black characters. Create new black characters. Come on.
Yeah, I agree.
That bad.
Agreed.
And it's particularly bad for like if you were in the toy merchandising business where you sort of rely on the audience's particular image, right? So when you make a Little Mermaid doll now, like what do you make it look like? Now you're in trouble. With something like the Equalizer, I don't know if it's as inherently as important, but I will say it's different enough that I call it a race swap for sure.
It is a race swap. There's no denying it.
Right. But do you see the difference? Like if it was Equalizer was a kid show and they already had a bunch of toys out, that just adds an additional layer of complication, I guess I'm saying. I don't know. For some reason, the Equalizer didn't bother me because I saw nothing
well made. It was a well made thing. And that's why.
That's by the by, though, guys. That's by the by, right? And I understand what you're saying, but inherently it's wrong because that character was white. Again, you can't have it. If you can't have it the other side, then where's the equality in that?
I'm honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not comfortable putting my foot down with that particular property.
And there's where the problem lies. That's where the problem lies with you guys.
That could be, but I'm honest about it. Now, I'm comfortable about saying Helena Troy needs to be Greek. I'm not so comfortable about saying the Equalizer because the UK they had British intelligence. You've had black guys working in British intelligence in the 80s. Not many, but there were some. I'm just saying.
I don't know, guys. I don't. This is a hot topic. Maybe we should get off it. So, no.
I see exactly. I know where you're coming from.
It was interesting hearing both sides, and sometimes we don't agree 100% on something. I personally, all I can say is this, and then we can wrap this up and maybe wrap up the stream. I watched as a kid, the one with Edward Woodward. I liked that show for whatever it was. When they did the one with Denzel Washington, I saw that. It felt pretty much like a different entity. They could have just called it. They could have just called it something else. They could have called it the Mr. Justice, and you would have said, "Wow, Mr. Justice is a great franchise," because it didn't really have much to do with the Equalizer if you really think about it.
Yeah. That's true. He wasn't British. He wasn't old. He wasn't. Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't British. He like everything about him was different. It was like 100% a different show. Really, Equalizer in name, like movie, but it was Equalizer in name only. I didn't feel like it disrespected anybody who liked the original series. At the same time, as action movies and kind of cool stuff that were very competently made. And very well acted by Denzel Washington. I enjoyed it. I was able to, especially because it's so different and almost just Equalizer in name only, I made that that quote unquote transition easily, that I just it didn't really bother me. But if it's something like, you're expecting Superman and then you go to the theater and somebody completely makes a mockery of it, that's like James Gunn did, that's a different story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If I'm watching an Anne Boleyn documentary and
and she's whatever, that's but in any case, it's Professor, do you have the people that were on Rumble and all this other stuff?
Yep, pasted just like 1 minute ago. Go scroll up just a bit.
Okay, so we have let me see, I'm trying to pull it up. Katalkis, Phantom Monk, Joe Higachi Gaming Stuff, Elizabeth Quince, God Bless 5697, Darren Mai, Double R Star, Leslie 5050, Alonzo Musk, It's Me Dado is the Phobos, Radio Streamer, Googie Designs, 99C Gutter Vodka, Third Railify, thank you for the raid, Shirty 7081, Just Gina is from Third Railify, nice to see you again, and thanks for the raid, Sizzle 40, and then Greg Ohio, Neurodivergent 1, Donut Mind Me, Loyish, Night Wolf 63, Rocco D2, Shoot Off the
You don't have to read them if you feel uncomfortable with it.
I don't know. This is a very strange name.
Might be rough on YouTube to use that.
Right.
Word, yeah.
I don't know where this came from, what the idea is, but
I don't see the name. Can you spell it?
Let's not focus on this now.
Okay.
G Fontes.
The reindeer. Welcome, reindeer.
Welcome, reindeer.
Yeah.
G Fontes 119. G Fontes 119. Dragon Wizard God. Sho Usuda. Rich Mellow. Rob Stuff 100. Hair Juicer 3K. Nightwolf 63. Kevin JH 122588. Stoner with a boner. Now that's an interesting one. Haterade.
Okay, I saw it.
Stoner
yeah,
with boner.
Good call.
All right, and we did get some support over on YouTube this evening. Thank you, Deadman Jason Webster, and for joining Karate Werewolf. Appreciate that. And then as for those of us joining, we did have quite a few people in the chat with us today. So I've got the top 50 here. Rebecca Gold.
Who be that then?
Dozdes 888, Lasher, Pete Roble, Samsung, Facutino, Whalem 03, Badfoot, Andrew Zacchaeus, Angry Sparrow, Rogue's Backstory, Mr. Zerillo, Ryan Lopez, Keely Chow, Captain Paul Z, Stephen Mack, Tim Hayes, CC Karaoke, DJ Skylo, Michael Rory, Ty EMW, Jason Lev, Doctor Who, Georgia Cyrex, Karate Werewolf, Celestial Be a Lady, Bad Bill, Hoot Owl, Lord Corey, The Real Head Case, Jonathan Conroy, Marla Sharondoff, Darren M, Echo 32, Echo 7, Joe Darkness, Phantom Outsider, Trevtune Art, Shadow Piglet, Mark S47, Yitis, Granola Gren, Big Sur River, The Dead Man, Gavin Unit, Istaphobos, Caleb Levine, Kodo Rob, Tomahawk, and Jason Webster. So thank you all for joining us. Appreciate you being out there. And hey, even if you're hanging out with us and just lurking, we really do appreciate your being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow the channel, leave a comment afterwards.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's think for a second. Did we go over everything?
I think we got it.
Maybe.
All right. Well,
and a lot more.
And a lot more. Well, it was fun. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us, whether it's in the chat or this fine panel of gentlemen. First of all, my co-host, Professor Artoo, thank you. For those who don't know and just tuned in on Price of Reason. And of course, our VIP panelists, VIP friends of the channel, which is Ian the Mega Geek. He has a channel called Rebecca Gold. Did I put this in the chat? What do I do now?
I don't know.
Give me a second. I'll put it in there.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Rebecca Gold.
That's my channel.
Yeah, I'll
Rebecca
put it
Gold.
in I'll put it in Rumble.
Throw that in here. Let's see. YouTube. I'll put this in here. And Istaphobos, in case you were wondering, has his own.
Do you have your channel as well, Ista? Do you have a channel as well?
Yeah, I have a channel, and I had an Instagram for 2 days before I got banned by calling out the art director from Obsession.
Yeah, I haven't subscribed to your YouTube channel.
I only made one. I sent you a message on Rebecca Gold Insta, and then one on her, and then I got banned for life. So,
what can you do?
What did you say? What did you do to get banned?
Be careful. It's don't do whatever it was. Don't do it here.
No. I just said, listen, you had the option of taking points or getting paid a flat fee. Would you pay the money back if the film had flopped? what you should have done is leverage the film's success into your own, but instead you boiled your own golden goose, and that's going to follow you around. And then she's like, well, I'm speaking up for all of the unions. I'm like, you never mentioned unions before. What the hell do unions have to do? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, I might have said, I don't
There's
think
a part of this story that we don't know, and it's best if we don't know it.
Fair enough.
There's a part of I'm sure that this conversation about unions isn't the final straw as to why you were removed from Instagram. You probably have the last word. But did she even get offered points? Did anybody ever offer her points? She only got offered a salary. She did?
She got offered a small percentage. It wouldn't have been big because that's for the investors. But I do think I remember reading something that she did have the option of getting a percentage of the profits. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was front or back end, but the people who made the film only made 10 million anyway. All that box office money that goes to the distributor that bought the film for 10 million. So
wait a second. So we didn't raid or we did raid?
The raid is out there. It's waiting.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, Tropical Pop Hits. It's
perfect. It's the best thing that ever happened. Who doesn't like Tropical Pop Hits?
Is that like the Pina Colada song?
I have no idea.
That sounds like a nice lolly. That's what it sounds like.
In any case, we'll do better next time, Phantom Monk. But I appreciate you. I appreciate the work Phantom Monk does here as a moderator. He really helps out here, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And yeah, I guess we shared the links. We talked about everything. It was a great stream. And yeah, Ian, I don't bring you guys at the end, just because I'm tired.
No, I was joking. I was joking.
I like it because it's also like you bring a new perspective and something like that. I mean, and you're VIP friends of the channel, so that's just part of the atmosphere here.
Woo!
Okay.
Well, the thing is, I think you guys were going on for 2 hours before we joined, right? You were going. When I looked, it said 2 hours. Like
it was at least 2 hours and 30 minutes. And honestly, we could have gone another 30 minutes and just done our thing. But I actually, it would surprise you to learn. I like you guys joining us. It adds fun,
Yeah, sometimes it gets a bit heavy.
I like coming on. You've given me a lot to think about, Ian, actually, because maybe I do need to consider that, what you said. Maybe it really isn't okay.
Well,
absolutely.
I don't know. I'm just shooting my mouth off.
Left us with some food for thoughts, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Seeing Superman 5 times wasn't okay.
It was terrible.